Then we are calling
Right off
to
the fancy hand of the John Block.
the
Follow us down there.
HTC meeting for Tuesday, the 22nd of August, at 4:30
Thank you.
in the afternoon. This meeting is being recorded. If anybody else wants to record it, would you let us know, please, so we can at least know what it is. We are going to, may I have a motion to approve the agenda. We had some removals beforehand. John has a list which he will write. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 8 and 9 on new business are coming up. Number 20 on new business. Number 22. Numbers 30 through 35 on new business.
30 to 35?
Yep. And under views, numbers 3 through 6.
2. That's the views?
Yes.
Yep.
Numbers 3
2
through
through
6.
6.
And number 8.
Are you holding them or what?
Yeah, they dropped off the agenda.
You dropped, okay. Cool.
Alrighty, so if I could have a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
So moved.
Alrighty, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we have, Johnny,
Yes,
you're going to approve the agenda?
yes.
Okay. The next thing, number 1, is public comment. Are there any public comments about something that is not on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. No, you come up, you can speak over there because you have the microphone, which makes it easier. And if you would just give us your name.
My name is Sheldon Rogers. I own a home at 4 Thistle Way in the Beach Plum development of Nantucket. I'm here because this board approved a project by the developer Rugged Scott to enlarge his swimming pool. And I have pictures of that swimming pool that was enlarged. And when that approval was given, it was given with a provision that there would be 2 sets of steps. The swimming pool was built with no steps, just a couple of ladders, and when they went for the permit, they were told that in order to put in steps, they had to put in a little offset because it was really a lap pool that they were building. The original swimming pool did have steps, and that was presented to this board when they did that approval. And I have pictures showing it. Now, I happen to be handicapped, but not to the extent that I'm going to get on one of these chairs and get dunked. That we do on the 4th of July in town. Not something we're going to do in the swimming pool. And I took a couple of pictures that show it. Now, if you look at your approval, which I brought a copy of,
2, 3 there.
the original swimming pool, if you look on the back page, had a staircase, and the new swimming pool showed there would be 2 staircases, and they're not there. So I'm coming to this board because they violated your approval, where you said there would be those steps because that's the way you approved this, and they're not there. Now, from what I was told by the township, is that in order to have steps, they had to have this alcove, and they indicated that to the developer, who then said he didn't want to spend the money, go back to his engineer, et cetera, and built it without it. So I'm appealing.
After he was approved with it being built, right?
After this board approved it with steps,
Right.
he did not put in the steps. There are no steps whatsoever in the pool, just a couple little ladders. And I'll be honest, I can't climb a ladder. I had 5 surgeries on my right leg. We have young children in the development who can't jump in. It's a dangerous situation. We have one woman, unfortunately, has pancreatic cancer now, who'd like to use the pool, who can't use it, and it's just not a family-oriented pool any longer.
I don't know if this is our purview, though.
If it was something that we approved, which we did,
That we're in charge of what it visually looks
Right,
like,
but
but
who-
with stairs or without stairs, it doesn't look different. I think that's more of a building department issue.
Zoning told us that it was yours. I spent an hour and a half with them last week,
okay,
as Mr. Hedden
Yes.
will indicate to you, and they said it had to come back to you because you did the approval. Zoning sent it to you.
okay. What, who approved, who,
Do you have the application by any
I
chance?
don't actually have that with me.
No worries.
I have the zoning
can-
board paperwork.
In the middle, I'm in the process of working with Mr. Rogers as he was in our office last week. And if we want to make that an agenda item for next week and bring it up and discuss it.
yeah, we should, if
bring
you
in
would
all
do
the
that, would be,
materials and
bring all that stuff. And we will check in the meantime to make sure that it is under our auspices. And show me, you want to come up here and just show me where,
Sure.
It's in the middle of the development.
I know where the pool is, because I was on it the first time that they put a pool on. I just don't,
I have
No.
clips on the back page.
I just don't
All the way
know
in the back.
which,
I'll show you.
where the end of, where the steps are, that's what I know.
Also, here is the paperwork from zoning, where they said you would be in charge.
Yeah, that is according to the show license.
Well, I just want to show you.
After issuance of a building permit, do you want to listen, please? After issuance of a building permit, the ZBA hereby designates the HTC to review and approve any changes in accordance with their normal review that are not inconsistent with the original ZBA approval by issuance of a COA.
This is the original pool right here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'll find you the other one. I have it in a minute.
I think we need time to review this stuff.
The
Yeah.
original pool, it's right here.
So,
I had an offset for steps.
there's obviously more
No. It's
to
straight
the
pool.
story than,
Yeah,
The pool is there, but no steps.
we can maybe make a motion to put it on next week's
We
agenda. Oh,
got the motion
okay.
in going now.
Here is the pool, the new diagram that they presented to you.
Yep.
Steps here and
But
steps here.
steps there, right,
Yes, ma'am.
and they did none of that.
No, because they claim it's a lap pool, and if somebody swam across, they could hit their head. So they indicated that they should do it the way the old pool was built, which was right here, a little offset,
Yep,
and there's more than enough room, and they didn't want to pay to redesign it, because I spoke with the builder, he said, I would have done it. He said, what's the difference if I put the steps in or not? He says, they actually paid for the steps, he says they didn't want to change their plans.
so this is now gone, which is the old plan that
That
was
is correct.
on the old pool.
Yes, ma'am,
That we did so long ago.
yes.
All right, that's what I just wanted to know what we were talking about, and it has nothing except a couple of
It's got a couple of
ladders and a
la-
dump chair?
Yes, and the ladders do not have any room for your feet. They're exactly 3 inches, which is all they're allowed, because it's a lap pool.
Oh, okay,
And that's why I brought you the pictures to indicate it.
well, I think we need to review this, because
Yeah,
to me, there's more than one thing going on. We're what it looks like, and then there's building code
Yeah, but the building
regulation.
code is that they couldn't put the
Well,
steps
we
in.
don't tell people if they're gonna have 3-inch steps or stairs or whatever. I mean, so I just wanna look at the material.
yeah, we're going to do
No, the
that.
plan showed steps in the original, is what I'm saying. And then in the revised pool, they put in steps, and the building department told them to move it over, and they didn't want to redesign to make it meet code.
So in reality, they should have come back to us and said, either we're not gonna put the steps and
Yes.
amend their approval, or we're gonna build alcoves
Yes,
and actually put the steps in as, you know.
actually,
so
that's exactly
They
what they
should,
should
in
have done,
one way or another, they should have come to us.
and they know that.
Yeah.
So it's actually signed off though?
It is,
I did an inspection, and yes, I did sign off on what I did.
Because you don't usually look under the water.
Well, you you see this, look over it a little bit. Look at the picture.
Yeah,
Here's the picture.
I get it. I just think we're spinning our wheels at the moment until we've had time to look at this.
well, I want Mr. Rogers to know that we will look at it and we'll, discuss it with the planning board
Okay.
and ZBA, just so we know where we are.
You're welcome to the pictures. I'd like the other papers.
These are the-
Does he have a copy of,
What?
this stuff, John?
I got,
Because I think we need to see
Okay.
exactly
We
what
need to
the
see what
I'll
he
tell you
is.
what, I will give it to John now, and I'll pick it up from you tomorrow if you want.
Okay, sure.
That's a super idea, thank you.
How's that? You know who to go to.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
get your email. I will be in touch with you.
Okay. Pretty good.
All right, so we need a motion stated that we will review the swimming pool at Rugged Scott
Okay, next meeting. So I'd make a motion to review the,
on Tuesday. We want it on Tuesday.
the
Don't we need a motion to put it on the agenda?
Other business.
I don't think you can make a motion on it, because it's not on the agenda. So you have to put it on the agenda first.
Well, that's what we were doing.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Can we put that on Thursday?
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is I think all we have to do is direct him to do that.
We could do next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, but you can put it on Thursday and then from there we'll go to Tuesday or directly to Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah, direct.
Just so we
Yeah.
have that. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So that is, next thing is consent.
I have to sit off of
I'm
that,
sitting out.
so we might not be able to do it because John will abstain.
Oh, as long as they-
That's a vote, isn't that a vote? I believe that. Yeah, so, TJ and Val abstain, or sitting off. May I have a motion to approve the consent?
Just 1 second, please. There's one I had another. Okay, so moved.
It's not on there? All right.
No, it's been addressed.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed,
I'm in favor.
he's 3.
Dang.
Alrighty, thank you, Johnny.
Yes.
Now, the next one is consent with conditions, which is 1 through 3, and Val has to sit off.
Mhm.
And we got 4 Delaney Road and 5 Dock Rider. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent with conditions, items 1 through 3.
1, thank you. No, not 1 through 3. 3 can't, it's just 1 and 2. 3 is, oh, that, we
Yeah,
can
just-
decide. 1 through 3. All those in favor? Any opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so that is, yep, yes. All right, now we start on new business, which is that Dane DiCarlo with,
No, land
It's
bank.
actually more business, Madam Chair. 1.5763.
oh, okay. That is the new dormitory, sorry.
Anybody here for, consent items? They've been approved.
Thank you.
All of them come to the pool.
All the consent items have been approved, that were not withdrawn. And there was a list withdrawn before. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So, would you like to tell us where we are?
Sure. Jeff Fair, representing the Triumph Modular Builder.
Jesse Bell for the land bank.
Tom Harrington, representing West Myconic Road.
I think where we ended up last meeting was everybody had come to the realization that the site was good and it was gonna stay where it was. There was some concerns over the length of that one ridge line. And per the board's input, we added that dormer along the west elevation, or the south elevation. And other than that, that's it, really. That's the change that we were directed to make, and I hope that that is satisfactory.
I just have one question, and it's only because I think the directions are
You know, they're
are
little-
skewed,
they're- you know,
because
they're-
like the south, the east is north.
The east should be south.
No.
No, it's kind of somewhere in the middle, and I'm only following.
All I want to know is which side this is facing, the gable piece. Is it facing toward the parking lot or toward the street? That's all I want to know.
It faces towards the street.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I got
Doesn't make it-
confused on account of the locus, and
The Zurich itself,
Can I see this?
that's what they're saying. They're facing
It
road, so.
would be either the south or the east elevation, however you would look
Look at it.
And the reason why the elevation, we're just following along with the original architect as he labeled the elevations.
Yeah. Okay. That was my
So
only
when you go
question.
up and you stand and you kind of look at the compass, it's sort of somewhere in between.
alrighty.
And I saw that you guys have proposed a extra planting plan.
Yeah,
So I think he's addressed all the concerns that we had.
Yeah, no, this one has concerns, I'm gonna make a
no,
motion.
well, let me,
You can do that.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
thank you.
Just let you know.
TJ, what you got to say?
Am I on this? Or?
No.
Okay.
Yourself, Diane, Val, and Stephen.
Oh,
Which is why I
okay.
said what I said.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question, if it was,
Want
what
this?
is what are the louvers made of underneath? For the air?
They're metal, they'll be painted gray metal.
And the trim,
The trim is natural cedar,
all right, and the trim of the other buildings?
natural cedar.
Natural, okay, so they will be gray, but they will be surrounded by shingles.
Correct.
which hopefully will go in. And this letter seems to cover everything that we asked to do. Everybody got their letter saying that it would be included as part of the formal application, and that they will maintain the planting around the thing. So, we have a motion to,
Madam Chairperson,
oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Tom Harrington again.
Mhm.
So just one comment without waiving any previous objections. So I took this picture from Somerset, the dirt part of Somerset Road, and I was forwarded the planting plan, and I guess I'm looking to confirm that the planting plan provided by the applicant actually works to cover this end of the
Did you
structure.
get this?
It did.
And what do you say?
I say I can't tell
And
from the drawing they provided.
So this would be where that proposed new gable.
you can explain it
goes.
to everybody, please.
Sure. The new gable is located,
Hold it up, everybody can see it, okay? Speak for it. A lot
Sure.
easier.
thank you. The new gable is proposed to be in this location here.
Right.
So in fact, these additional cedar trees will, I think, do a pretty good job of screening that new gable.
Yeah, I'll comment on that one.
Okay.
I've been out there and I went up and down the roads a couple of times, and there were holes along, I just want to make sure, I want to use the GIS road labels are a little bit different. There was a hole along West Myaconnet and along the ocean side of Somerset Road, and the plant shown is new, the evergreens do block those areas. I presume once they're fully mature, they're going to block it substantially, but that's the intention. Is that correct? That's correct.
And my comment was towards what you would call the ocean side of Somerset.
Yeah.
That's
And-
where I thought the biggest hole was.
Yeah, just to be clear, from further down, 100 yards down the ocean side of Somerset, you're gonna see the tail end of the building, but
Down in
it's,
this direction.
it's
You are
obscured
gonna
and it's
see it.
small, it's not inappropriate for the area. I don't believe that view.
Well, and they also they're putting in a berm
Yeah.
with some plantings.
Yeah, you'll
right-
see the ridge,
Right
the
there.
gable there.
So,
And, we have the size, did anybody come up with size of the trees? You're not gonna put little 3-foot trees in, one hopes
No, they're 8 to 10.
8 to 10 foot.
that they're going in as 8 to 10, not,
That's what
that's
they're-
their full height.
That's what
Okay.
their schedule stipulates.
All right, so does that answer some questions for you?
It does, and just will you make this landscaping plan part of your decision?
Yes,
If we approve it.
If you approve it?
we will indeed, it will be, that's why we had him write it up as a separate thing. So, do we have a motion of any kind?
Chairperson, I have a comment.
Okay, you're not on it, but you can comment.
I'm sorry?
You're not on it, but you can comment.
Yes, I'm trying to bring up the fact as, in the last meeting, I had mentioned very heavily that the, coverage for the air conditioning, that they be wooden, and that was my conditioner, I thought very strongly, comparing it to the town building downtown.
I have that covered for you.
Yeah, and, you didn't say what color gray. It's
I
very, very,
didn't say what color gray. no.
very shades of gray,
Uh-huh.
you know, but, they shouldn't be metal hanging off that building. Metal is not typical. I just want to state my facts on it, but how I felt, I want you to all know how I feel. So I think they should be lattice, horizontal, vertical lattice instead of that. It'd be more appealing to the side of the building, which is visible. Those are my comments.
Johnny, would you want them replaced with wood, or would you want to have the
Put the wood over
trellis
the
put
outside.
in front of each one?
Put the wood on
We
the
could, we could put in a piece of trellis, lattice, for lack of a better term, in front of each one of them.
Okay,
Could you just face it with a piece, frame it with cedar over the cover? So you're keeping your louvers, but where you have metal, you'll have a piece of, are they thin?
I'm not sure the fan louvers, I
gotcha.
don't think you could do that. You know.
if he thinks he can put lattice on, if he can, he'll come back, but otherwise, that would be part of the, motion. Would that answer all your questions, Mr. Frank?
Yes, without waiving any other objections I've made at
Sure,
previous
you gotta
hearing,
reserve your
I have no
comments,
other
yes.
questions.
All righty, so Henry, is there a motion?
There is.
All right, and what is the motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve, subject to Exhibit A, Part 1, which is the letter dated August 18th, and Exhibit A, Part 2, which is the landscape plan. The letter stipulating that the land bank will install new plants on the Exhibit A and address their long-term maintenance for screening of the dorms, and that the PTAC exterior grills are approved subject to a lack of visibility, and any that are directly visible and discernible from the roadway will be obscured with trellis.
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Hey, which would,
I am in favor.
that would be 3 in favor, and, we will keep any other news informed, keep you informed, something else comes up or whatever.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your consideration.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to,
Oh, you want to say I came in?
Yep, I'm
Diane,
good.
I'm so sorry. I was texting Mr. Ray Paul. Of course, he knew I was going to be late.
I have you in at 15:51.
TJ's
Yes,
I do need to disclose that I am in a butter to this property.
yes.
So if no one has no objection,
Actually, John, can I have that back, that bottom
Does
one, because I gotta
any-
rate that.
anybody objects, and I will step away and let John type.
Does anybody object
He
to
doesn't.
Terry
I do
continuing
not.
to
No.
record this?
Do you want me to write it up since
I just said see Exhibit A.
yeah, I'll put the decks on there, so.
All right, so we are now all set with the 29 North Cambridge Street, right?
Yes.
And this is a deck and a walkway.
Madam Chair, if I may, this should have been reviewed by the Nantucket Advisory Board, however, they didn't make it onto their agenda due to, this wasn't on their sign-up sheet, so,
Well, why don't we do that?
Yeah, can we make a motion to hold for the
For their
Nantucket
input.
Advisory Board?
Yes,
So
I
we'll
think
come
we-
back next
Was
week.
that something I was supposed to do, or?
No.
No.
It was just,
it
That
just wasn't on the
it didn't
sign-up
get to
sheet.
it.
yeah.
It happens.
So as a courtesy to them, we
Sure,
went to.
sure.
We'll do it next Tuesday?
I will do it.
All right, thank you.
September, well, they don't meet till,
Oh, that's right.
so it would be September.
Here's Labor Day.
Oh, because we have a week off.
Hot dog.
September 12th, Dane.
Sorry, we have a lot
Okay.
of projects going on.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Make a motion to hold until, what is it, September?
September 12th.
September
September
12th for the Nantucket Advisory Board to
All
take
right,
a
all
look at.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Jonathan Clapp at 7A Huzzy Farm. Himself. There he is.
Oh,
Good.
All
TJ,
right,
you wanna do this one?
Sure.
Mr. Clapp, what can we do for you?
I'm just here to answer any questions you may have. I bought a piece of covenant land and have moved a house onto it. And I'm in the final stages of finishing it, and as you can tell, it is a sloped piece of property, and the driveway needs to be retained.
And what is your proposed retaining wall?
Concrete with a parched finish.
And the steps?
Are you also proposing an apron?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to do, there's a couple in the neighborhood that are
Okay.
concrete aprons.
Okay.
So I might as well just keep with the local.
The, and what kind of steps are you going to have going up?
I'm trying to keep everything looking the same. What I've already been through you guys before was I have a 10 by 20 deck off the right of my house, which is all pressure treated. So I would like my front steps to also be pressure treated off the front, so everything looks.
So
It's
you'll
natural.
need-
The deck isn't painted. There is trim on the deck, but there's everything, the balusters, the railing, and the deck are all pressure treated wood.
Do you think we need a little more information on what the stairs look like? I mean, you've got,
There'd be a 4-foot landing coming right out the front door, and then the steps coming straight down, not to the sides or anything like that.
I realize it's simple.
I'm pretty much replacing what was there, which when I moved the house, everything was approved. I'm just, the stairs got wrecked and moved, so I'm just replacing them.
So does he even need approval for this?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, I put it on there, because I've already, the house was approved for the move, and the stairs were still attached.
You don't have any pictures of the existing house that went with the
With
stairs?
the I
That
may.
you're just, because
I
if
may.
you're replacing like
I
kind,
may.
This isn't the house from 2 Hussey Farm, is it? The one up the road?
That's 7, I moved it
Yeah.
from 10 Eat Fire Spring
Oh,
Road.
E-Fire.
Yep. I don't know if I have pictures.
any more fill that's gonna go in? It seems like it's kinda high. From
Where the actual driveway is?
grade- Well, from your grade where you're.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's everywhere except where the driveway is gonna be, loamed and then grass. So, I mean, the grade is definitely coming out. It's going back to the original grade that was
Here.
there.
the-
Yeah.
the grade
You can
is
see,
up
you
there.
can see where the tar is up
Yeah.
on the foundation.
Right,
It's gonna be at least that high. I mean, you
Okay.
can
He's
actually
just
go a
cutting
little.
in for the parking.
I gotcha.
So,
Still looking, but I don't know.
is the retaining wall at the back is going to be higher than, is it gonna taper towards the front? Or will you
It may
stay-
taper a hair bit. I kinda wanna make it as high so we don't have to do, any sort of step to get into the walkout. I wanted it to be one, you can step up and then you go right down to the walkout of the piece.
What are the other aprons made of? right
In the
along?
neighborhood,
Yeah.
concrete, the next two down, I believe, are concrete. J Stars, my neighbor, who else is, obviously the Manchesters, but they're on the back side. I have bought
Yeah,
the
they come in a
Manchesters.
different way, right?
And I think that the Tophams are to my left when you're looking at the house, and I don't even know if they have an apron, to be honest.
And the size of the driveway is,
40 by 20 by 40. They would accommodate 4 cars. And my curb cut was approved with the town.
it's 40 feet wide?
No, 20 feet wide. Be
20
two car,
feet
two
wide.
car widths, but 2 cars deep.
Okay.
When you say walkways, native stone.
Well, I'm just, because I'm gonna need something coming from, because I'm gonna have, if you see in the, I'm gonna have, whether I am allowed to do the concrete wall, or if it has to be timbers, there's gonna be a cutout where steps will come out of the driveway to a walkway up to the front door.
And are these window wells in the front?
Yes, that's the front of the house.
And that was approved
Yep.
with grates or a railing?
I'm doing a fence around, gonna do railing.
Okay, so I think we need more stuff on this.
Yeah, I would like.
Because I
to-
feel like it's a little disconnected.
Yeah, we need,
More information on your drawings. John,
I have a
would you like to
comment.
add
We need a little
something?
bit more information also, where the photo is here.
Yep.
Right, you have to give us some kind of a drawing showing the height here, and does it taper down to the top, or is it straight out to the end of the lot?
No, it's right down to, it's going right back to the original grade, it goes right down to the road.
You gotta
It's
give
right
us some
down.
kind of a drawing with dimensions, because if this is all out in the future to look at, there's nothing describing it, you know, in other words, how many feet from here, this might be 3 feet here, and level here.
Okay.
We gotta know what dimensions are. you know?
John can show you the list off the formal application and go through it with you.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been actually meaning to get in touch with you about a few things.
okay.
So we need dimensions, right?
Yes, we need
To be on the
dimensions, we need materials, and we have to, and you can call out if you're doing the steps like they were before.
Yeah,
You could probably bring in a picture of what they look like.
I'm gonna go, I think we should view too, to see what's in the
Okay,
neighborhood.
all right, so I'll make a motion for a view and more information, so we can
A
really.
little bit more.
And we need to know, like, if you're going to have any planting come down over the concrete wall, behind your concrete wall, what are you planting, just grass or?
yeah, I mean, it's
Something
gonna be
more.
grass, and I already talked to Steve Butler at the building department, because I asked him, like, well, am I gonna have to have a fence around this? And he said, you only have to have a fence where you would be walking, and you're pretty much can be able to walk around. So I'm gonna have a fence, whether it's post and rail, just something so it's enclosed. I mean, it is gonna be, you know, at the highest, maybe 4 feet,
Oh, 4 feet.
Okay,
maybe
All
4
right,
feet.
so you have to, as if we've never seen this, you have to describe this to us and bring in information
Okay.
with dimensioning, so if, we wanna know how high that is going to be in the back.
Yep.
the driveway, the height of that retaining wall, and the material of the walkway, and what is the existing and what you're replacing it with for the steps.
4 feet's half a racquetball court that you're talking about here.
And
That's
what
awfully high.
what the apron is made out of is, and how deep it goes into the driveway, and what the material is for the driveway. Just all those kinds of things, as if we have never seen this before.
I
Describe it.
have more concern with railing around the window wells in the front of the house.
I'd
I
rather
think
I've
see
never
that's-
that
seen that
creates-
before. I've never heard that was, you said that's what he said you needed?
No.
Well, no, I
that's-
know I have to do grate or fencing around the way.
Fence, what kind of, I've never seen
Yeah,
So
that.
my
in
neighbor,
other
my
words,
neighbors right on
if
Wynn
you-
Street have
you-
fencing around
well,
here.
so
around
we're gonna
here.
look
Mark Lombardi
and
has.
see, it's a little more in your face, like this is a window
A little
well.
more unconventional than
Right.
just the grates.
Depends too on how close it is.
Yeah,
It's probably an
exactly.
egress
Plants
issue
on the
too,
other side
because
of
you'd
the
have to
fence,
climb
so-
a ladder
Yes, and
all the way over the
Any
grate.
kind of landscaping,
Yeah, we need to
plenty
have some-
plantings that you might, if you were going to hide those window wells, in putting bushes around, we want to know what those are too. Okay.
It will just look like the railing off the deck if you look at one of the pictures. And I'm assuming it will be natural to weather.
Yeah, that's what.
The railing,
Right.
yeah.
All right, not to belabor this.
No,
but
it
the
just needs a little
information's
more
out.
information, that's for sure.
So, we have a motion,
Motion to hold for some more information and details, dimensions, and a view.
all right? That would be, what, September 12th too?
No, it could be next week, if you wanted to come in and work with you on a few things.
Yeah.
You could come back next week.
All right. If you can do it by then.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, this is the last process that we got. I mean, everything's done from the house to the backyard. I mean, we have lawn and everything, so
Give
this
us
is
as
it.
much information as you
Yep.
possibly can.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
May I
thank
have
you.
a vote on that?
Aye.
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 So that is it. All right. The next one is John Green at 12 Chatham Road, landscaping. Are you on this one? Yes.
Okay. Brought pictures. Mr. Hedden thought it might be a good idea to bring some pictures. Oh, didn't quite make it over there, Doc. I'll walk up.
Thank you.
Of the house?
Yeah, I took some pictures from the front of the house and the driveway.
You are learning.
Hey, a little prodding from old John over there.
So,
So,
what would you like us to hear?
So, Lindsay Collington for the applicant. We're proposing a pool in the back with a spa and a little water feature at the end of the pool.
Where's the driveway?
Driveway's in the front of the house.
No, I know, on here.
It's in the front.
It's right in front of the shed.
Oh, this is the shed?
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is the shed that we're proposing to move back there. And then, so currently it sits in the driveway,
All right.
which
but
is
I
that,
didn't
from that picture.
know that
Yes.
was anything of importance right there.
All right.
Okay.
Uh,
Shed.
Oh, sure. So this is the driveway here, and then that's the shed that we intend to put.
Especially a little heavier, we know it. Don't have to add it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll catch that.
He's learning all the time.
Every day. Learn something.
Always something.
Always something. And then we've got bluestone patios, moving the shed into the back, and pergola off the side of the shed. We purposely put it in the back of the house, so it would kind of be tucked away and hidden.
It's a cute little shed.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Turn it into like,
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is how close is the pool to your sidelines? Is
it's
it-
just off the setback. be more than 10 feet away.
Yeah.
The hot tub itself is more than 10 feet away. That's the
Okay.
closest corner.
Is, somebody mentioned at one time that there was a zoning law that made, you're supposed to be so many feet away from pool. Is it Nantucket?
Yeah, where is that information?
County code.
I couldn't find
Yeah,
it.
they changed it like 2 or 3 years ago.
And all pools have to have a special permit?
In Nantucket? Yeah.
You can look at the zoning use chart for what zone requires special permit.
I couldn't find
Not
that.
all
couldn't
Nantucket,
either.
but in the zone designated. I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's an area.
And so we also kept our fence off of the property line.
So your fence goes,
Yeah, but we kept it inside.
yeah, okay.
So.
And then the hedge?
And it's all going to be in the back.
Exactly, it's all in vegetation, and then, as you can see from the aerial map, it's from the public way, the way you look down the driveway, you look right past it, we're right, the pool's right here behind the house.
Okay.
So I don't think it'd be visible from the public way. I think the only thing that would be visible would be this fence coming across here.
Where does the pool fence end? On this side, all the way up to the
Like right
dwelling?
here.
Yeah, so it's gonna come right across here, Dan. So, here. So it's here.
Yeah.
And we kept it off the property line, and then it goes around, and it comes back to the back corner there. The reason we put it here is because there's an existing patio here.
Okay, all right, it just seemed, and this is just steppers and stuff, so you can't put it there.
Yeah, and then from the, as you can see from the aerial map, you know, this is the driveway,
Yeah.
which is that view. So your sight line's actually looking straight back here, and our pool's back here. So I
Right,
think
well, it wasn't the pool, it just sometimes concerns me that is the largeness of the pool fence.
Sure.
So, has anybody got any questions? You
I don't have any objections.
And then the pergola's already approved?
No, we're gonna probably come back. Wait,
Okay.
I think we're
That's a-
coming back separate for that
Is
one.
that a freestanding pergola, or is it actually?
It would be attached to the side of the shed.
Okay.
So that the architecture is going to come back at another
Yeah,
time?
the pergola's
All right.
gonna have to come back.
So right now,
Okay.
we're just doing the fencing and the bluestone and the pool.
Gotcha.
JT, what do you have to, do you have?
I'm
anything?
not on this, I was just asking a question. I don't think I'm on it, I think.
Oh, hi there.
I thought you just did one. Now,
No, no concern.
so, no concerns, Johnny?
Motion to approve?
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So,
Thank you.
there we are, thank you. Now, we have Michael O'Reilly at 19 Richardson Drive. Huh?
Good, how are you?
We're good at that.
I'm Carol Ann. I'm representing CWA for 19 Appleton Road,
Already,
O'Reilly residents.
and TJ, you'll be on this, can you be on this?
Yep, I'm on this one.
All right,
Hi.
so, do you want to tell us about it?
Sure. This is an addition to an existing home, and the proposal, in addition to the new piece that you see, there's also a screen porch off of the front of the existing home. There's also a deck on the back, and which is to the west. We're going to be replacing older windows to match existing size, and the new windows on the addition will be to match.
So
This is all
the
part of
addition
proposal.
is this piece
Yes.
to the north?
To the north, yeah. Yeah. Livingstone.
So
Yes.
it's this. That and that.
Meeting rails.
All right. So, at Abby, do you want to begin?
Well, so I just want to get this straight. So you're putting a screen porch on the front of the building,
From the existing.
and that sort of brings the roof line down, breaking that up, and I'm not opposed to that, and you're changing the windows to 6/6 instead of 2/2s.
Correct.
And, I really don't see any, I have no objections with these changes.
I'll text.
Those are my comments, Diane.
Alrighty. TJ?
Looking at it, I don't really have any objections to this, but I do have a couple of questions, and that is on your north elevation of the new construction part of this addition is your B window in the gable seems really high up compared to the ones on the perpendicular elevations. I'm just wondering if that's the way you wanted it, or was it an error, or?
It's not an error, but we can take a closer look at it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it maybe come down some, and maybe for the dormers to meet the main part of the roof higher up toward the ridge. Those are my only two comments on the proposal.
So the new dormers on the.
Yeah, the shed dormers, if they could hit closer to the ridge. Maybe try an 8-pitch on those.
What about you?
I don't have any concerns. Is it staying the same color?
Yes.
And the windows are gonna be Cheratone as well?
To match existing.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny?
Johnny in the
Yeah.
blue checked shirt.
Sorry?
Johnny in the blue checked shirt. Very nice shirt. Very spring, summery. Very nice.
It's his young man.
Yeah.
I also died yesterday.
Oh, really? It's vintage.
We went to coffee.
I think this was her writer's
Doing
house.
nothing else.
I think it was right.
No, he's moved several times since. This is his first house he built.
The photo here. I don't see it on the plan.
Oh. Those are actually just some vintage brackets, braces from some of their building that are just sitting on the ground. I'm not sure. Actually, they're not part of the house. Yeah, they're
Sort of
literally just
an
sitting
installation, if you will, at the front of the house, but it's a temporary.
there. It's just sitting there.
Temporary.
It's hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is temporary?
I don't know. Can't last more than 180 days.
A strong
or
storm might blow it
Could be
over,
out of there
basically,
tomorrow.
Most of the temporaries we give out, for a
They-
year.
they linger.
5 years in. Anyway. All right, fine, thank you.
All right, I have one suggestion, to go along with TJ's, one in that gable, is perhaps if you wanted to keep that size window up there, if you put a middle window down on the first floor, it wouldn't look so big and it wouldn't look so high.
I agree with that.
Don't you think that
Yeah.
it would be a good thing?
I think it's just meant to be in the gable, and this is a wall without fenestration on the second floor. Probably a bed wall.
Something, but I think the third window on the first floor, you might consider that.
The first floor has a gas fireplace in the center, which is why there isn't a window there currently. As you might see it in the.
And
Is
are
that
there
what she's
no
talking
windows
about?
on the second floor in that area?
No, that's just high in the gable.
Yeah,
Can
Well-
you, yeah.
look at it and see what you
We'll take a look at it
think
again.
you can do. So, we'll have a motion to hold for revisions?
Is it that extensive, the
I think it's approvable,
I think it's
honestly.
I do too. It'd be nice if there was a window on that second level though.
Yeah.
I mean, if that window was lowered, would that,
I think it would be, yeah, maybe, I mean, we could come up with a number here. I mean, I think if it was like a foot lower, it would,
yeah.
yeah.
That would be
It would
easy
do the
enough,
trick.
there isn't any reason not to.
Do you want to approve it through staff?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's, I think this is
All right,
a go.
can I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve through staff, with the gable windows of the new addition either side to be lowered by 12 inches.
Either side.
Well, there's a cut elevation through the length piece, that's the same thing, I think.
Gotcha.
On that gable,
Yeah, on the north facing and south facing gables of
Okay.
the addition piece.
right. All right, next one.
Oh, we didn't take a motion
We
on
didn't
that?
vote.
Yeah, I didn't vote.
Motion to,
Motion to approve through staff with the windows on both north and south elevation to be lowered by 12 inches
Per
Aye.
TJ.
per TJ.
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Johnny? Okay.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Thank you.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You won.
This
is my
really
first
very
HTC.
exciting.
I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Way to put it. She won.
So the next one is
Sure, yeah. Have fun.
28 through 34 Tomahawk. 30A.
Oh no. Now what?
It's out by the, it's a joke.
Ethan Griffin, Chipwebster Architecture. Caroline Livingstone.
Is the approved ones up above?
Correct, so
Yeah,
the
yeah.
initial approval is the top one, and then the last one that we've gotten approved is right below.
So, what are these things, Ethan?
Right. So a large part of this application is we just going through the permit process. The fire department required a fairly significant smoke exhaust system. So 90% of these mechanical elements are part of that system. It includes, from an elevation standpoint, the louvers on the side of the building, as well as the vents at the top of the building. Now, we've tried to position the vents on the top of the building, so they're actually some distance, at least 10 feet away from the parapet in most cases, so you're not really going to be able to see the ones on the roof as clearly as you're seeing them on a flat elevation. You will see the metal louvers, which we've tried to keep in the metal panel parts of the building, but in some cases, they are going to be installed in the wood-clad parts of the building. There are some additional changes that are related to just kind of clarifying some details, but the bulk of this is the mechanical equipment that we've had to integrate.
Yeah, what is
Building going
this?
to be used for?
This is a self-storage facility, so it's storage units, rental.
So why do you have to have all those,
Smoke evacuation?
yeah.
It's an excellent question. This is one of the most extensive systems that any of the consultants working on the project and the general contractor have ever seen. So it's very substantial.
It seems a little crazy. It's like more than the hospital.
It is a very extensive system from what I've been told, but this is what the fire departments require.
Well, I mean, I guess I haven't seen this much on any of the other self-storage buildings.
Correct. So there's the two other large self-storage buildings on the island. One was permitted at a time. It does have some smoke evacuation, but they weren't considering it as important, I guess. And then the other, the Maury building is quite a bit smaller, but does have a similar system.
Can you tell me about the neighborhood? I'm not,
Sure.
I'm familiar with
So Tomahawk is it was the old coffin pit, and this piece of property is in the northeast corner and you've got Toscana's yard just right to the north of it, and then the airport is right here.
There, yeah.
So this backs right up to Toscana's concrete plant.
This is out there with a lot of other.
It's all
warehouses.
commercial sort of metal storage buildings.
So on that note, I mean, this has gotta be the best looking building out there, right? Or is it?
Yeah, probably.
There are a few
We're working on it.
who don't have as much jazz on the
Detail?
roof.
I mean,
Is there an apartment? Is that why?
So building A has no residential. It's all storage units and then a very small portion that's offices. Building B does have 2 apartments, but due to the size, it's dramatically smaller, and the smoke evacuation requirements are far less significant. The system's designed to evacuate 2/3 of the building at any given moment, and it's 5 floors.
And what are
what's the height of the building?
yeah?
It's
you
just
know,
under 30. It's 3 up, 2 down.
it's so there's some.
Five floors.
So
And what is the color of all this stuff?
It's the metal cladding is all battleship gray, and
This,
then the wood cladding is natural to weather.
Is the wood cladding only on those gable fronts? it
The
looks
wood
like?
cladding is mostly on the gable fronts, and as you go around to the north side, it also continues for a bit on the sidewall there.
I think it's pretty handsome for a
Spaceship.
I have no
spaceship.
concerns.
Okay, thank
I have
you.
no concerns about it. It's in an industrial area. I know it's
Yeah.
heavy on the ventilation, but if that's what the building requirement
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and if it's 30 feet up in the air, I don't think you're gonna see it unless
No.
you're in a glider.
Perspective's
It's,
not gonna let
it's
you see
subject to
most of
that
it.
being a metal color that will tarnish the
I
sign.
like the choice of materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get that? Snazzy. The materials were snazzy.
What's the green in it? Are they gonna have?
They're very hip.
I don't think this is part of this. This is a separate application.
It's so hip.
All right, do we have a motion?
I have a comment.
All right, Johnny?
Yes. This structure will cover all 8 lots.
Essentially, yes.
It will cover.
Yes.
Hey,
That's
Ethan,
what's
where is the
No, it will. It will cover
the
it.
equipment that's shown on the ground?
The other question is this.
That's correct. This is also, part of this application also is we open up the discussion of how you'd like us to screen some of there's a generator and just the air conditioning units that are on the ground. We have dropped them down 3 feet below grade, and presumably we would want like a
So
board
they're
fence
right
around them.
here?
They're on the south side, correct?
Yeah, but where is this?
Wait, I'm not through. Hang on a minute, please. Okay? The other question is this.
They're not shown.
All these,
So he says he's recessed them somewhere.
all these antennas. They're up here,
Correct.
superimposed. Right? You said it couldn't be seen.
Well, I think the visibility is going to be limited. They're not going to be as visible as when you're seeing them flat. I mean, they're pushed back from the roof plane. So it's,
That is my question. Looking at it. If that's gonna be up there,
Things on the ground?
40 feet away, you're gonna see everything.
This is building
That's what I'm
A.
saying, right? And not many buildings have that much coverage on the roof.
I agree. It's more substantial than most buildings on the island. That's for sure. But there's 5 vents on the roof. Then there's 2 roof hatches, which are shown in the open position on these drawings, but they're not going to be open most of the time.
This might be the biggest building on the island.
No, besides Stop and Shop.
How long is it?
Yeah.
You mind if I finish?
Yeah.
I still have questions. I'll let you know when I'm through. Thank you. And a little bit more, huh? This is the floor plan.
This is the ground floor.
Where is it showing it on the top? That's my question.
Yeah, there's nothing showing where that stuff
No. Where's not on this?
is. It's in here.
Up, I believe. Northeast. Yes.
So that great, that's way in the distance. The tips are good on the gable post.
And that means if
They
any,
all come to the-
east and west.
And where the stuff on the ground is.
I like to see when there's too much metal, I like to see, try to hide stuff off, you know? Not showing the depth of roof man, where it's going.
Correct, yeah,
Why
I
is
should
the
have brought a
application
roof plan.
complete?
A roof plan, I think, would have been helpful to illustrate where these are. But I can use this one to show you. This is an accurate roof plan.
Wait, you gotta explain it to everybody here, okay?
So this is an accurate roof plan. The roof units are not shown on this plan, but as you can see, there's a sloped roof plane that goes around the perimeter of the building, and then there's about a 1 foot parapet, and then it's essentially a flat roof in this entire zone. Now it's divided up into a grid to assist with the drainage, but these roof units are here, 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 and here.
So I think what we need is we need a plan to show us where this
You
stuff.
mind? I'm not.
When are you gonna be done? I'm sorry.
You get your turn, you just keep, you do it all the time. You just speak when you wanna, cut us all off, all right? I want a little respect, okay? Thank you. All right. Question on this one? Is this being filed now?
Correct, that's next. Yeah, building B is the next one we're going to talk
That's
about.
next one.
Yep.
My question. Thank you, I'm through, thank you.
So I'm gonna make a motion to hold for additional information being a roof plan showing the utilities and landscape plan showing the utilities. I'm not changing my support at this point based on my viewing of it, but I would like to have the additional information for the record.
Sure.
I think it will help you with
Yeah,
the rest
absolutely.
of the group.
Tell
Yeah.
them what you want. Do you want place on the ground?
Yeah, that's what he just said.
I made a motion.
For that, for the stuff on the ground,
Yeah.
there it is, okay, that's good. That's what we have, as a motion, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay,
Thank you. I'm sure.
now we have building B.
You say on this one, Stephen?
No, this is that was the last one.
Oh, I can have it.
So this, Ethan Griffin, Triple X Architecture. So building B is to the north of building A. It's a storage units at grade with 2 apartments above. Similar to building A, and as previously approved, it's mostly metal clad, but then the gable elements are wood clad. This application is really just to kind of clean up some of the details that we've been refining on building A, and just making sure they've transferred to building B, and there isn't confusion to the final sign-off and inspection. We changed the window on the north side for egress reasons. That's the side that faces Toscana's concrete yard. We've added conductors, which are the larger water receptacles at the corners where valleys come together. It's a detail that we've also got on the A building, and we've further refined the rear fence detail as a solid wood fence with a cutout detail.
Did you, how long is the building?
That's a good question.
I think
It
it was, I
is-
just get 96. I don't know.
It's about 150 feet long.
3/16 inch.
Yeah. One is 62 and one building's 62 and one is about 40.
Oh, for the units above, correct, yeah. The whole span.
Well, this one.
Luckily, it's broken up. That's what I was gonna say about
Yeah.
the other one, if you could break that up, but that wouldn't want to.
Correct, and this is built into the berm on essentially the side of the yard.
The fence on the second floor, I'm not really understanding
So on
compared to the last.
Right. So on the north side, it's and that's the side that faces Toscana. Previously, it was one of the, I think it's like a 6/1 kind of board fence at the lattice. it's still a board fence natural to weather, but it's just a vertical board with a cutout detail in it that matches the detail on the end of the pergola. So it's just a slight variation, but we did want to make sure that the board understood what was happening there rather than.
How tall is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 6 foot tall, basically, fence on the Toscana
So
side.
it's a 5-in-1.
5-in-1,
It's a
basically.
5-in-1, but it's not a 1.
Correct. It's instead of a boards with a separate lattice element above, it's just a vertical board with a little cutout of one side of the board to kind of create a lighter top to it.
I think the lattice was lighter. And the pergola's overhanging more than it
Correct. The
was.
pergola does overhang the steps now, where previously it was sort of oddly truncated before the steps. If that's an issue, we'd be happy to kind of bring it back.
I don't know, I think it's the fence more than anything, because I can't really
With the little
picture
cutouts?
it. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to see a quarter-inch stop picture of the
Yeah, we
fence.
could even do like a little 3D kind of mock-up on the drawings. Yeah, I mean, not a you. I mean, we can do a physical mock-up if you want it, but it's a 3D
I think
view.
it's a
right?
cool fence
Yeah,
too, but
invented the detail at school.
I don't quite,
This seems to be two fences.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what you're seeing in the front is the railing system, the metal railing system. So on the south side, which faces Building A, you've got a metal railing system.
So that railing has like a walkway, then the fence. The fence is in the distance.
The fence is, yes, correct. The fence is 20 feet back from that metal railing.
And is that forward fence, is that metal or wood?
The railing, the guardrail, is all metal as previously approved. The detail has changed slightly now that we've actually got a railing manufacturer on board. You know, we're using
It
their
looks a little
system.
complicated. Can you just make it one or the other without the extra little piece on it?
So right, yeah, it's essentially it's a solid rail on top with newels between that have an infill of vertical balusters. I mean, there's a possibility we could kind of simplify that a little bit. And it's,
I'd like to see regular size drawings of these things because they are going to make a difference.
that's a great idea. That's
Well,
a great idea. Like,
and what are the last thing is, what are these at the gable ends,
Those drainage, are
the
they?
conductors.
could you do some detailed drawings of some of the things we
Sure.
have
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
questions
We
about?
have them. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, that would be excellent.
So
I
on
think
the
it went from a nice simple building to some kind of, it just seems so complicated.
they always are.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, I'd like to see this cutaway 6-in-1, whatever
Sure.
it is.
And the railing.
Like in
and
a, what,
the fence
half-inch
on
scale
the-
or?
Yeah, we can do even like a little 3D view.
Yeah, that would
and
be
we-
fabulous.
But we have all the drawings for all of
And
it.
what, those other, we call them conductors, what are they conducting?
That's the term for them. Those are areas where there's a valley essentially coming together, so there's going to be more rain potentially, and it's just a location where can accept that deluge of water and mitigate
What are
it.
they made out of?
It's a metal to match the rest of the gutter system.
Metal, what color?
It's all the metal is the battleship gray.
The aliens have land. So, could I make a move for more details on
Yes,
some of these,
please.
for the fencing, anything else?
Yes. Make a motion?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Glad somebody recognized me.
All right.
We-
Question. I don't think I can find anywhere in Nantucket where there's a building, story and a half, 2.5 stories, separated, and you have a 6-foot fence on the second floor. Is there a reason for that?
Right. So on that portion, it's really only a single story because that's the side that's embedded in the hill, and that basically goes right up to where Toscana parks their dump trucks and concrete trucks.
You got a flat roof under it, right?
Correct.
It's just odd to see a fence 6 foot high on the second floor.
This is an unusual application.
Thank you.
All right. So, may I have a motion?
We have a motion to hold for bigger scale.
Large scale, yeah, we'll have some focused kind of details.
A model of the fencing in particular,
And more
Anything else? Do we
details.
want details?
Do you want a quarter scale elevation too? I mean, we're doing it on the smaller scale just so they fit on
Yeah.
a reasonable size
Yeah.
paper, but we can print them on any size.
I don't personally need a quarter scale of the
No.
whole building, but I think the details
But the
of.
Details blown up and
Yeah, that'd be
3D. Yeah,
marvelous.
absolutely.
Okay, I'll
Alrighty.
move, that's my.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next one is 138,
That's your revisions, right?
oh, 7 Cambridge Street, sorry, Karen Grazioso. 7 South Cambridge, a rear deck.
Thought you were gonna skip me
Kent
there for a minute.
Murphy.
No.
How is everyone? I haven't seen some of you for a while.
No. Nantucket Advisory, this is Brad, Bob, and Tom. Approval with, natural to weather finish on columns. Would prefer that existing painted columns be removed.
I was gonna suggest, well, this is, you want me to explain this first?
Yeah.
This is a porch coming off the back of the structure, on the second floor. There's two small porches existing where those double doors are, and we wanted to just extend those out. The main gable, the porch comes 8 feet off of that with, consideration to the HDC guidelines. The only thing that I would suggest and would want to change in my application is making all the trim on this porch natural. I think I put white down by default. But, on retrospect, I think it should be all natural. As far as Nantucket's,
Ooh. Okay, this is what they have now.
the trim is natural.
except for the columns.
The
That's-
columns are like a gap in your teeth.
That's
covered
why
with-
they were,
Well, the building's been there for 20 years with the columns. It was approved that way. I didn't anticipate changing those. There's columns in the front as well as in the back. And what I'm proposing, if you look at the structure from the west elevation, is, those are 4 foot, those are 4x4s, the typical second floor rear porch that you see all over Nantucket.
So, are you here for what exactly?
The rear porch.
The rear porch. So these white columns are.
They are existing.
They're existing, so we're not even talking about them, right?
No.
No, all right. All right, so back to the porch.
you can't remove them.
It's confused, oh, I see, so the big things are staying in.
They're existing, so
They
I'm
seem-
just coming off the back of the building with 8 feet off the main dormer and going all the way across and replacing the smaller porches extending those smaller porches on each side out.
I think the posts need to be thicker, like 6 inches at least.
And I wonder if we could also revise the spacing. On one hand, he's got the posts sort of equally spaced, and I don't know how visible this would be on the west anyway, but they're kind of like right in front of those, that door in the background. Actually,
Well, it's
I
just a-
take that statement back. I think it's fine, equally spaced is fine, the way you have it.
But don't you think they need to be thicker?
Well, I was
Yes.
making them narrower so that the first, so that they wouldn't stand out. They would be
Yeah,
at
but it
least
looks like,
obtrusive as possible, especially with the views from the
Really?
first floor and all the windows there.
Property.
So we wanted them as narrow as possible. I
Well,
want
you
this
got
to
those
kind of
12-foot
want to gray and blend into the rest of the structure rather than sticking out.
I thought you're not gonna have 6 inches.
I agree with Val. You've got the massive columns and then these really delicate 4x4 posts. It might be nice to see them beefed up to 6x6. It would feel visually more substantial and
What is
more
this?
appropriate, I think.
Where is it? There. Okay, it's not part of the new room.
That's the recommendation, I mean, you want to approve with that change?
I mean, even are you going to wrap the posts at all? Are they like 4x4 PT? Then you're going to wrap them?
They're going to be 4x4 cedar, actually.
Cedar,
It's just going to
okay.
naturally grow.
Yeah.
As far as the code, the structure works with those conditions.
Well, first of all,
John, you got
can
anything?
I
Not
say
interrupt.
something too? I think, because before John interrupts me, because I know. What about the span of the whole, the
A lot of
decking there? That's a lot of decking. Why do you need so much? Can
Well,
you break,
because if you look at the,
could you break that into
let me see if I can find an existing.
two with, or just two with the French doors, or?
I guess I was looking for the existing floor plan. Did I miss it?
Does anybody else think it's excessive?
Well, what it's doing is, there's already two small decks that come off of those sliding glass, the French doors on each side. So all it is doing is extending those out.
It's connecting them.
Yeah, it's connecting.
So what, adding about 6 feet?
We're adding 8 feet off of the,
He's adding the whole middle gable dormer. He's connecting the two side decks.
So what does,
Well, make your comments when it's your turn.
why don't you comment now, John?
What I'm looking at, my question is this, the highlighting. The highlighting is for the second floor deck on the west side. The shower here on the north side. And you're asking 2 items?
Yeah, the outdoor shower is
You
included.
want that deck, and you want this deck and the shower?
Yes.
These are already there?
Pardon me? That's existing.
That's right?
That's existing. That's existing. There's no
That's
visible.
what I say, that's
Yeah,
existing.
yeah. There's no visible change.
I wasn't interested on all these, because it wouldn't get there. That's my comment, that is my question. Thank you.
Have you finished?
Yes,
You
thank you.
want to,
John's finished.
No,
I just wanted to ask a question. Is the west elevation, is that, where's the, locus? Is that seen from a public way? It's kind of just a little odd, all of that decking.
It's rear facing. There's a development that's going in the back there. I don't know if that's public or private.
It faces the pond.
The decking?
Yeah. Could the outdoor shower be against the building and not out by the support posts?
Well, again, I set it out so that there, would be less, there's windows.
Mhm.
If it's brought inside, it's gonna block a lot more of the view. So I thought it would be best out in that corner. We could stick it in the opposing corner, which might be less.
I was kind of more thinking like another side of the building, like either your like north or south elevation. If you could just put it like around the corner from the deck, then we can have it against the building and not sort of out in outer space, you know?
It was a request from the owner to put it in that position. There is some, they have a non-enclosed tower on one other side, but they
Okay.
wanted to,
I was wondering, most of the windows are 6/1s until you get to the north and they're 6/6s, which I know is existing. I just wondered how come they changed their mind, and then you got 1/1.
I think that might be an error.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look at the pictures. I think that's an error.
Do you have a stairs going down to the cellar?
No,
Do you have an exterior entrance?
no.
Oh, it's shown on the plot plan.
But that's not changing
No.
anyway. So basically what we're asking for is the extension of the deck and the placement of the shower. So, does anybody have a motion or any more questions?
I have a comment, thinking about it. I agree with the shower. I'm thinking about the hanging out there underneath that deck. And it could go on the north side, right next to the wall, where there's some lines going here. That's possible. Good possible that way. Another 5 feet, ain't gonna hurt you to take a shower.
But you're opposed to the positions it's
I
in
think,
now?
well, we put them all, try to get them all against the building.
That's
and
true.
then-
I know, I'm
So right now, Ken, where it is in back of that cellar way.
Mhm.
Could he just close it in right there?
They could.
Yeah, why would you want to cover that window anyway, if that's looking at how much?
Like I said, they wanted it on the back deck. It was a request from the owners. But if you want to approve the deck without the shower, we could do that, and then I could approach the shower at a later time.
Well, I don't have a
No.
objection to the shower going there on the north.
I guess we could let John say what he wants to say.
He
I
said he
think he
agrees
said-
about the shower.
Oh. I think the posts, I would like to see them bigger.
I would also like beefier posts.
And, for the plans to just get corrected so they reflect what's actually there are no grills in this house. Because when he comes to inspect, if they're not there, then the plan shows them.
When you say grills?
There's no grills in any of the
Oh,
windows.
the windows, the
photograph.
windows,
Yeah.
okay.
Not girls, grills. And
That's what I said.
for the shower to stay where it is and just close it in on that location.
Yeah, it's oddly.
But we can do that through staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on the side of the building, the spigot, if you just put the shower where it is. Right.
Okay. And the posts are at 6 inches. All right, somebody want to form a motion?
All right, I'll do it. I'll make a motion to approve through staff with 6x6 posts supporting the deck and the outdoor shower removed from the application. What was the other thing?
The drawings to reflect the
Yeah.
window
And
configuration
the
that
drawing to reflect the correct existing window configurations.
Is everything gonna be natural
natural weather deck. Good call.
All right. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'm not opposed, I think it's too much shed.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you
Ken.
guys.
Nice to see you. Now we have Scott Beardsley at 138 Main.
Jim, was the garage open before, or it's just tracking, it hasn't been very good? Okay, so it's,
All right, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Would you, we have a,
oh, 8 and 9 got help.
this is Michael May, Mickey Rowland, and Brooke Maybergen. And it says they have no concerns.
Oh,
Nothing
that's
on the
nice.
back, nothing on the front.
It's going on the garage.
Is this Oak Hollow? Is where this is?
This is off of Main Street up in Maine.
Oh, Main Street.
The
Oh,
two-
138 Main?
8 and 9 were full.
Oh, they were, well,
I
they
just
were.
realized that.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know.
may we have your name, please?
I'm Joel Walbridge, Scott Beardsley.
Joel Walbridge. Did you get that?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Are you on this too?
Yes.
Yes.
I have no concerns.
Is there a picture, anybody have a picture of the house? Right. This is my chart. Anyway, it's in the back of the house, but off Main Street, you probably can't see it, is that,
Can't see it at all.
can't see it, okay, so,
The one over here to the left is a red. The red's on, the thing's on the wall.
going right on that too. Okay, so, due to lack of visibility, just,
Right.
okay. I'll wait for everybody to go. I'll make
John,
that
do you have
motion if
the-
you want, but,
No comment.
okay, due to lack of visibility, I make a move to approve this application of a shower.
As submitted,
As
right?
submitted.
I had no comment also.
Please, write that down.
Oh, right there.
Get it together here.
Alrighty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You voted no.
Okay, thank you.
So, that was
Thank you.
the whole board.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next, we held those, John, that we announced that at the beginning of the thing, that those were Thornwell, and we wanted to hold them. The next one is 5 Old Mill Court. It's a porch.
That's actually me. Can we move that down to my other application? That's number, just bring that, make that the one before 16. That way some other people can go and my applications end up together.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to hold number 11 until just before number 16 on the new business agenda.
all those in favor?
Art,
Aye. All right, so the next one is Ted Pappendick, and it's 25.
Welcome.
Ray is
Same.
driving Phoebe back to school. They're in the middle of, they just passed a tornado path apparently.
Oh my God.
In like, yeah, in Rochester, they're headed to Rochester, New York. And the weather's really severe.
Yeah, we don't usually.
Well, they're in Henniker now.
Oh,
Is that like tornado?
valley-ish,
Yeah,
mountain valley.
and 2 hours still away from Rochester.
11 got moved to before 16, so 12 and 13 are not. This one moved to here. Everybody needs a Snickers, I think, this session.
You just,
Pappendick, which is 25 St. Sankey Road. It says, as on other application, need more info. Pools in sponsored old historic. That's a question. Do we have that? This is in twenty-five
got
Sankey,
approved.
is in the old historic?
It is not, they're not limited to not having a pool in there. They're not responsibility.
So,
Oh, okay.
there was a previous approval that David brought with him from a year ago, I think, roughly, or the fifth. Let's see, when was it approved? 1/25/16, and that was actually on 27 Sankaty. These clients own both lots, and now they want to rotate the pool and move it on to 25.
This is the application you were in a while back where you took pieces of one building, rotated it. And
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Same property.
Same property. And we have some revisions to that building being here tonight.
So the difference between this and the previous approval is one, it's on the other lot, but also, I mean, it's literally, the pool was rotated 90 degrees, and it was slid to the south by maybe 20 feet, and shifted slightly west away from the east property line by about 10 feet.
And then the gating, the vegetation and the gating, previously we're going to basically connect the main house and then go around the perimeter, and now David has designed it so that it's fencing right around the pool, creating an enclosure of the pool that connects to the small pool building now.
This,
Do you want the previous approval, Diane?
yeah,
I have it. That's what was previously approved.
So it's the same size pool, same hardscape materials. We eliminated a stone retaining wall, which was on the previous approval.
So they own that one and that one.
Yeah.
So, Sankaty Road's to the west on this plan. It's over here, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
down below.
Yeah. And there are pictures with the application, the view from Sankaty Road, so there's a 6-foot hedge along the road. And then you're gonna have the additional buffer of the
here's
planting.
Sankey Road. And the pool,
Right here.
here's this,
building.
that house.
And it was here, and now
Right.
it's here.
Now it's down in there.
So it looks like you're doing a 4-foot type 2 picket with, are those shrubs or trees that you're putting around it, or which one? Like both?
Shrubs and trees,
Oh,
yeah.
both, okay.
Liberty. No, well, it's walls.
There are two
That
driveways
was
for the two
before.
separate properties.
Yeah, that's.
So there's a
up here.
driveway for 27 on the northerly side of the larger house, and then there's a driveway for 25.
Where's that come in, that driveway?
Right here.
Ah, right
There's-
into it, right.
And that is gonna be.
Yeah, there's no driveway at the pool. The intention at the pool area is to keep it screened from the road, obviously.
When you go down Sankaty Road and you look in, you're going to put up more trees, right?
Yeah, there's a picture
I have, yeah,
here that shows the existing building. This is the chimney is the larger house on the left, so there's already a 6-foot privet, which is not being changed. And then there's going to be more fencing around the pool area and vegetation around the pool area,
Okay.
4-foot vegetation.
all right,
Diane, from Sankey Road.
yeah,
The pool's back behind those trees.
okay. So that's,
Yeah.
all right. John, would you like to start?
Yes, where's 75, where's Sankaty Road on this?
It's,
Right here. Sorry, I should have got away from you're out here, you're looking, pool's back here, or the pool's here?
Pool's there.
Pool's here.
There's a hedge here.
It's a picture with a hedge.
Right, and the hedge, it's looking in from Sankaty Road,
Yeah,
right, that's looking in,
that's that.
this way.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's gonna be another layer of vegetation for the west porch.
That porch you can see from here is
Is
this.
it here?
Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. Right, looking in from here, that's looking in from here, right?
Correct.
And you're gonna have hedges back here?
Yeah, it's even a little further.
Show it, show it.
Oh, I see, okay. Yeah, it's gonna be back here.
Hey, I'm gonna be in the back of the lot, hedges.
Right, just privet hedge? Or what are these two? And then you've got some trees here. What kind of trees are these?
Those are gonna be like multi-stem, birch, and then we're gonna do viburnum around the fencing.
So,
It's gonna be a slightly bermed planting.
all right, so looking through Sankaty, say the privet on that died, you would see these birch trees, and then privet and viburnum looking towards.
There's no intention to do privet at this point, but,
Privet would only be along the road,
yeah.
no privet around the pool.
Okay, so, what is keeping you from looking at this pool from Sankaty, besides the privet on the road?
Just the second buffer around the pool fence.
And that is viburnum?
It's gonna be a combination of viburnum and hydrangeas. The idea is to almost completely obscure the pool fence.
Is the pool, is it at a lower elevation than Sankaty, or,
Yeah, everything slopes down from Sankaty Road towards the pool.
Abby, did you see this picture?
yeah, I saw that.
That's sort of,
Yeah,
that's
it-
where the pool is gonna be, right in there,
No, further back, behind that tree, actually.
behind that tree.
Yep.
Ah. Right up close to that, looks like a privet hedge to me.
I'm a little sensitive about sconset and swimming pools. I think we okayed one, and I've gone by it a couple of times, and it's always given me, it's like, I'm just very sensitive about it, so I'd like to hear other people's opinion.
TJ, what do you,
My first instinct, I'm looking over the plan, it looks like they're providing enough screening around the pool area. But to Abby's point, it would be good to be sure here, especially in the wintertime, we're gonna see through that privet. It might be good to get some additional,
you want some stakes in the view,
well,
so we know?
stakes in a view would be good, actually, because then we could determine if we needed anything more on the inside of this privet that faces Sankaty that would be a little bit more year-round to screen the long view to the pool. So
Yeah.
stakes would be nice.
All right,
What about if we just added some vegetation that was non-deciduous?
Yeah, I would say along the west lot line inside of the privet edge.
Hydrangeas aren't going to,
Yeah, I mean, if that's the issue, I think that, they certainly don't, not that they're gonna be using it in the winter, the pool would be covered, but they certainly
Yeah.
wanna have as much privacy from the road as possible, so is
Yeah.
that not a possibility with a planting?
Along the fence or along the street, along the privet, behind the privet. We could,
Yeah, behind the privet hedge?
I think either or kind of does it for this, along the privet or along the fence. As long as we're confident that even in the winter, we're not gonna see it,
What would your preference
it's
be?
pretty tight in there too.
Probably
Like neighbors are.
around pool.
Yeah, it looks,
Right, with the manicured hedges.
Yeah.
So we'd probably integrate it around the pool.
Okay.
do you want to do that, or do you want us to go with the view?
I would rather just do that.
I think that's fine, because already I feel pretty good about the setup, but I know if they were gonna put non-deciduous plantings around the pool, that we know we wouldn't be seeing it, so.
Right, so that could be part of your motion?
Yep, I'll make that motion.
Okay, why don't you make that motion?
So moved. To approve through staff with the addition of some non-deciduous plantings around the at least the western part of the pool fence
Maybe we could,
portion.
are you gonna call out those non-deciduous plants?
Well, can we just say evergreen?
Some evergreens, yeah.
Trying to think of what type I would use. I'd rather not commit 100% to a specific
Yeah, I think
evergreen.
I don't wanna know, I mean, I think I'm going to vote.
He knows if we vote for it, and we said not deciduous and evergreens, that's what he's got to
Yeah,
put in.
That's what it comes down to, yeah.
I'm gonna be required to plant evergreens.
Yeah.
John, what,
Yeah, I have one question. Safety Road. Added this photo here. Looking in Safety Road. Now, the plan, this one shows, it says here, location of existing shed to be demolished. And it hasn't been demolished yet?
No, and that building that we're showing back there is.
Looking in
Yeah.
from here, why can you not see the two buildings?
It's just, they're over to the, this is,
More land there?
yeah, this is an existing hedge that isn't shown
are
on
you
the
good with it?
Yep.
This picture should have showed the whole thing, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, so we will write up a motion that to approve with deciduous, non-deciduous, and
Non-deciduous.
evergreen plantings be done either between the hedge.
I think they prefer that we do it around
Around
the fence line, the pool fence, so,
Okay.
and I'm fine with that as
That's
well,
fine,
so.
that's,
So, let's just do the whole pool fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be consistent. You
Yeah.
won't-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
all right, all those
Thank
in
you.
favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. John, you in favor? Yep.
I'm opposed.
That is four, and one against.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next one is,
It's revisions to the building that was previously approved.
okay, so, but we have another application for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's this?
That's the old one. This is the new one. This is the new statement.
I think it's a cottage.
All right, this is
Is it a cottage or a cabana?
It's a cottage.
another one from the Wisconsin Advisory Board. Historic information not included. No information about historic aspects of buildings, no photos, very unclear, suggested viewing, previous application not reviewed by SAP.
Well, there was a previous application
Which we have.
that's already been approved.
Yeah.
So, the changes that we came up with, maybe I should just describe those, and then we can talk about it. The initial, thing that we wanted to do was to actually reduce the size of the windows in those dormers, because it's now, not going to have a second floor. And the dormers, if you look at the pictures, are extremely, extremely flat. So we thought by reducing the pitch of those, the heights of those windows, you could get a more favorable pitch to that roof. Those dormers were added, they weren't original to the structure. They're very flat. And then we were just gonna, not have a chimney. We change some of the fenestration on the east and west to put the sliding windows back on the two sides that currently exist in the building. And then some minor fenestration changes, and we added a bedroom on the first floor to this building in the back. That's the roof line change. So it has one bedroom up and two in the basement.
This is still the small building, right?
Mhm.
This is not where we just put the pool?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's reasonably, I mean, I wouldn't say it's that small actually, but
That's good job. If they were questioning this, how old is this building? Do you know?
well, I think we talked about it at length the last time. I mean, it's an older structure. There is a wing to the front of it that had, that I think was newer, and the dormers were newer. So our intention was to pick up the old part of the building and rotate it on the site and retain that old, main mass of this building and then add new additions to it. So the previous approval already contemplated and approved those changes.
And you took the chimney out for what reason?
Just because we don't need it. So it was being relocated from the previous application, but we decided we didn't need it. It can go back, but they're not. It would be decorative. They're not interested in having a wood burning fireplace.
You want to begin?
TJ's on this one, so.
Oh, still on this, yeah, thank you. TJ, do you want to begin?
I have no concerns. No comments.
Okay, Abby?
Oh, okay, so this, the E window is a slider, I didn't see that, I was gonna say, why not do two mold together, but,
It's an old, that whole porch area used to be a whole series of sliders, so that the ones on the front were turning to doors, and the two on the side we kept as just windows.
well, I think you've kept the old, you know, the smaller scale. I do miss the chimney on it, it kinda gives it sort of, takes a, I just kinda miss it, but, I have no objections to this, these renovations.
Johnny, have you got something?
Yeah, one comment, you got these windows,
Yes,
and it says fixed,
fixed awning. Yeah, fixed.
you said on.
Well, because they're a size of an awning, but they don't operate, they don't open. It's a cathedral space,
Fixed.
yes. Didn't I say fixed on the
No,
schedule?
it's all right, I saw them there, I just, you got them there, you got them in the dormer,
Yeah. The dormer is, not accessible.
you got it in the rear of them,
Yeah,
and the other dormer has straight.
that's right.
Okay, I'll have it fixed, thank you.
You got,
That's my
no,
comment.
I'm fine. Good,
Motion to approve?
all ready? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. That's good, so, thank you.
Okay.
The next one is Wall Street.
That's Lisa too.
Is this
Yep.
is this the cottage, the pool house?
It just says,
This is the pool house.
Yeah, I have new drawings for the house because they changed the mud
it
layout.
says fenestration, that's what it says.
So this is.
Thank you.
I actually want to have sort of a conceptual discussion with you guys about this building.
So glad I'm on.
Would you like, what are you telling us now?
Well, so the idea was to turn it more into sort of like an old boathouse looking structure. She'd like to actually not paint it white, even though the house is white. She'd like to paint it with like a gray trim and black sash, so it has a, you know, if she could have a barn, she'd be very happy, but I thought the barns didn't really belong down on Wall Street, so we came up with the boathouse. She'd love to have, natural clapboard, which I don't think necessarily is appropriate on the front of this, but that would be something that she'd like.
Isn't that it?
Yeah, but where is the building on that?
It's tucked away in the back, you can't see it on the floor plan, Val.
No, I'm looking at the locus, and
It's not there yet, probably, because it used to be a separate lot, and then John, lot 64 got split, and
yeah, that
somebody's
was
building a house
Mary
on.
Ellen Sereno's house.
Right, and, but this client bought half that lot, and then John Lampy's building a spec house on the other one.
Okay, so it's just, I was just confused by the shape of this lot.
Yeah.
As opposed to your lot. Like,
Right, because
where
now
is the street?
Dick Street is now gone, and so their lot is now L-shaped. It's one continuous lot.
But,
Can you show us, Lisa, where?
yeah, I'm still confused. So where is the street?
Where's the?
This is Walsh,
Oh,
here.
Okay.
Dick Street used to run, this lot used to be here. This was all part of this big lot.
Oh, the two
And
long
then
ones,
this got
Lampy's
subdivided.
doing that, yeah, I
That's right.
remember that, yeah.
And then now Dick Street no
Is this the
longer
street?
exists.
And where is this building on, that right there?
Way in the back.
All right.
Yeah, so Walsh is at the top of the site plan.
North.
Yes, Wall Street is north. So the building was already approved, we were just making some fenestration changes. Again, trying to make it not look like a cottage, trying to make it look like a, more like a secondary structure and it's not a dwelling. So, trying to add some elements that gave it, again, a different sort of appearance, like the barn doors. Again, she's interested in not painting it white.
On the west elevation, those two doors, what are they, the wood doors or?
They're, hold on, I'm just gonna go to that.
Board and batten?
Oh, they're board and batten doors, they're mechanical because it's in the floodplain.
Are they natural to weather?
They could be, it's not an elevation we're gonna see, there's gonna be a hedge there. They could certainly be natural.
So it would just disappear?
Or they'd be, painted gray. I think the only real elevation that's even visible, and I think only partially visible, is the north. And I don't even think that much of it is visible because of the addition to the house.
You got some comments you'd like to make?
No.
Okay.
I have no comments.
What do you think about
I think it's
changing the
fine.
color?
Oh, actually, thank you for saying that. I do support the concept of changing the color. I think with the fenestration changes and its location on the, look, these lots are maxed out. I wish we could do this in the Mid-Island, but it's far enough away that it actually reads as kind of like a separate outbuilding. And I think the color change is appropriate, personally.
What do you think about natural clapboard?
I don't think that the design, the facade would support clapboard.
What are you going to do with the doors of the garage?
They would be painted gray,
It might support vertical though,
vertical battens.
if it were one elevation.
I don't, just go around the table.
Sorry.
That's
So-
right.
So my no comments blossomed.
Yeah, okay.
Johnny, what have you got to say?
Yeah. You have three types of casement windows here, and I think they're going to be visible. And there's this one here, these two, and this one here.
You think they're visible on the back? Look at the site plan. You back up to another
Here's
house.
the building here, right?
Yeah, there's a house right behind it.
side is gonna be seen, so you got five, eight big
Transoms.
windows, and a transom. The transom, I think, is too heavy for it. You should eliminate the transoms. They don't serve a real great purpose. But architecturally, I don't think it's right to have those type of, eight lights.
No, the
and
grade
a
slopes.
transom on top.
Yeah, it was.
And church elevation is the back. Those are my comments on that. I think the transom should take a height. Thank you.
All right. So I think, is the B window now larger than the previous on the north elevation above the two doors? Because think
No, I
it's a-
don't, it shouldn't be. I mean, I think that maybe the scale of the drawing is not the same. Yeah, see, they're not reduced to the same size.
But, so that B window
It's the
exists?
same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
If
we
you
can talk
overlay
about
that, yeah.
If you open those if you open those barn doors, are there French doors behind there, or it's
No.
just open? It's gonna be open?
No, not even. They're faux.
Well, then why do you have the?
Because to make them look real.
Make it look real.
There's a sauna behind them. So they'll look real, but they won't function. But we felt like having windows there that were gonna have to be boarded up was,
Okay.
didn't make sense either, and we thought that these
All right.
doors would give it that more of a boathouse.
Okay, yeah, because I actually like them, and I think it'd be really cool if you actually opened it up and just looked right out at the
I know.
thing, but if they want to do a sauna, that's fair. But I think it should be, I think the material should be shingle. I don't think it should be clapboard. I'm okay with the transoms, because, like you said, they're trying to make a barn. No, John, sorry, but this is my own opinion. They're trying to do something different, so I'm okay with the transoms above the French doors. I think it would be cool if those actually opened. I'm okay with them being gray, but I think the siding should be shingle.
Shingle and not batten board, you wouldn't be.
No, I think it's getting a little
Okay.
cutesy.
I'm fine.
I have one suggestion perhaps, is on your barn doors, when they're going to open or not, is putting some of the hardware on the outside that would be on a
Yep.
boathouse,
Make them look more real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
I don't mind the size because it isn't a cottage, it is something else.
Pool house.
Pool, whatever. And it's going to be gray and with black trim, is that what you?
We talked about gray with black windows. I mean, if it's all gray, I mean, do you have a preference?
What's the main house?
White.
Why don't they want to do just white and gray?
White trim with gray windows?
Yeah, I mean, so it goes with the main
I
dwelling.
don't know, I think she was trying to make it look a little bit more like a separate barn that had been there, and then the house got built after.
The
Gray
color
and gray
choice
could be
though would
nice.
be, what, gray and gray?
Gray and gray.
Yeah.
Gray and green or gray and gray?
Gray and
Gray,
gray.
gray.
Would you guys be opposed to white with gray sash if that's?
I think gray and white is would be fine. I'd be fine with that.
But have you got anything, are you okay with?
No, I think the black is too
Too strong,
modern for
yeah.
a building they're
Right.
trying to make look like it was there.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's it.
All right,
That big house in front of it, you'll never see it.
right. So, may I have a motion to what we will look with?
What are you gonna do for siding? How do we?
Oh, well, we'll do the shingle, if that seems to be the consensus, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the trim, we'll do, why don't I just say white with gray windows, and then I'll come back with
Okay, I think
different colors.
that'd be nice. And, was there anything else?
I don't think, the hardware for the doors.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve with, the white trim, gray sash, hardware on the, barn doors, and shingle on the siding.
Okay. And if they ever want to do all gray, I could just come back, right?
Yeah.
Or gray with blue, maybe, you know how the 286 Cultus, we had gray trim with blue sash?
Look cool.
Yeah, I might come back with that.
That'll look cool.
Or maybe you can put that in as staff as a alternative.
So white and gray or white and blue.
Or gray and blue.
Gray and blue.
Or gray and blue, I'm sorry.
Yeah. 'Cause
Through
it would-
staff, I can put that
Yeah.
in the motion. That all right with everybody?
That would be gray trim with blue sash.
Yeah,
Or white trim with the gray sash, whatever.
yeah,
Good with that?
whatever she prefers.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Her choice.
Yeah.
So white or gray, white trim with gray sash,
Or
or
gray
Gray trim.
trim.
gray trim with blue sash.
But don't mix them up.
Yeah.
No white trim and blue sash.
No
Or
bar.
white with blue and gray. Like
Okay, so I have drawings to,
Yes, we need to vote.
Yeah, I will vote. I just want to make sure everybody was ready to do it, so maybe have a motion on that.
I made that motion.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, thank you.
I brought other drawings because they changed some mullion layout and the mutton layout on the French doors. Nothing else changed.
What, that's the second one on 62?
Yeah,
Okay.
here you go. I'm gonna slide these down. So this is, the one request is to add some shutters to the house. In the front.
What color are the shutters?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, if you're gonna bring up the blue.
Yeah, I would think they'd be blue. Probably not white.
Listed white.
I know. Well, I change
Shutter's
my mind
white.
a lot.
But the trim is white, right?
trim is white.
Trim is white. I think the blue would be.
Yeah, I think
gorgeous
blue would
on
be
there.
pretty.
And then you could do your blue. What do you
Right,
wanna
the
do
window
with blue?
sash.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So the changes here are basically the shutters, changing the fenestration on the south, which is invisible, but we used to have 2 French doors with a big picture unit. And now we have 5 French doors, and we've changed the light cutout on the French doors to kind of mimic the 6/1 windows, so that we could get sort of an expansive glass towards the bottom of the doors. And then the same thing happened facing west, which is under a porch. That had a picture unit before as well. I think those were the only changes.
I can go this is so simple. I think the French doors that you already have there should remain on the other side of it. I think this looks a little sort of hokey. Is that a good word?
You mean, you prefer the 8 light?
Yeah, I like the 8 light, or maybe even no lumens at all. I think they look a little forced.
At that, all set? Now,
I think I would maybe not have a shutter on the gable window on the north.
Oh, the top one?
Yeah. And I do agree with Abby in that I think there's too many different kinds of doors, so it was better to have a little more consistency.
Yeah, I think she was trying to get, like, larger, not to have it be so busy.
I think this looks busy.
Yeah.
Because it looks different, and then your eye jumps.
I think it's from the inside, like seeing that. And if you just did one row, like a transom light, not the 2. So you only had 3 lights across the top.
And
That's
then
a-
there's like 12 light doors on the other side. I don't know. I guess.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is make this look like an addition. Well, clearly it's an addition, because it is an addition, but we thought that making the gray get that sort of link helped so that the length stayed more consistent with the house, and then this mass here has a different fenestration, at least on the doors.
Is on the west, is that the existing part of the house?
Hold on, I gotta get to that.
Where you're changing again?
No, that's on the addition.
I kinda love picture windows.
You like what?
I like the picture window.
Which number, F?
The F.
Yeah, I like the F too.
I know, I think she just, so it's like they're kind of busy. And we looked at doing, big pictures with most of it clear with just a row of transoms at the top.
What's visible?
I don't think very much, actually. I mean, definitely not the south. And I think the west isn't visible either because it's not set in under a porch.
What about the second floor on the south?
No, no. I mean, there's houses at the back of it that go to that development on North Beach.
Maybe if they weren't all the way down like they're a door. I don't know.
Are these sliders?
No.
Or are they just
fixed windows?
Well, no, one of those doors opens, Val.
Oh.
There's one door on the west that opens to get out to the
So
porch.
it is a door.
Yeah,
Instead
and
of a window.
Right. We thought it would be more consistent to have 4 doors, even though 3 will be fixed, but one will operate.
I don't mind the doors, it's just the grill pattern is kind of funky.
Yeah, I almost would want nothing.
Steve?
Yeah, excuse me, my name's Whistler. I agree with the comments about the doors. I understand what you're saying in terms of simplifying from the inside. From the outside, it looks like it's adding a different element. I think because, although it's a 6/1, the proportions are so different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at the GIS map and I'm thinking, I'm not seeing any direct visibility on these. And
on the rear.
on the west, there may be an indirect because you're this lot, right?
The house isn't there yet.
So, is that?
Do you have this on a lot plan?
Yeah. You guys, oh yeah, sorry.
That would be helpful.
The last that had the plot plan, obviously. So that is, those windows are here. So I think it's limited visibility just because of the house that should be built.
Can I see, which is the north, which is the one, what's the?
South.
South. Which is
Faces
the south?
directly into the back of the lot.
I think I'm not suggesting they're not going to be visible, but they're going to be visible at an oblique angle. You're not going to see them directly on. You're going to see them at maybe a 30-degree angle through. I presume this is going to be landscape or privacy hidden through the nines, like all the other properties in this area.
What I was thinking, just looking at it, if I took the glass size for the F window and put that at the top of the doors and just had one row, it's similar to the glass size on the B, and that would give you sort of a consistency in terms of at least the glass sizes being worked out. So rather than having 6 lights at the top of each French door, maybe just one row.
Yeah,
I say just get rid of the lights.
Yeah, I know, it's making them look like, what is that style that's elongated?
Prairie style.
What is it?
Prairie.
Yeah.
Prairie style, yeah.
It just, it's a whole new
Yeah, the proportions are definitely.
elongated and.
But then again, taking them out is going to make that light, a single light, more elongated. So I see what you're trying to do there. You're splitting it.
How big are these doors?
7'6", like the existing.
7'6", that's quite.
I do prefer the picture window, but I don't. I don't think the doors are inappropriate so much as trying to figure out to what extent they're visible, and then if they're directly visible, there would be a concern for me. But I don't believe they're going to be. You're not going to see these head on. You're never going to see them the way we're looking at them.
No, not the first floor, the second floor maybe.
It just looks like a mishmash.
Second floor, yeah.
I'd like to see more consistency in that.
But that's on the back side of the house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a building right behind that.
If there isn't, there will be.
No, there is. I know there is one right behind.
What does John have to say?
Yeah, John, what do you think of all these?
That's a inappropriate style for that structure of the neighborhood. I couldn't find any more down there. And I think that would be changed to something else more appropriate style. Should be seen more than 30%, I'm going to say.
You think so?
On the angle, yes. 45 on that way.
So you don't have any issues with the doors themselves, it's just coming up with a solution on the grille pattern?
Right.
I think that's where we're headed.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna continue it and I can just do some,
Different,
Yeah.
should we hold for revisions then? Okay, I'll make that motion.
as long as I know that I can move forward with the door size.
Everybody,
Yeah.
Is that, I think that's mine, Abby. I think that one's-
Lisa, stay for a minute. Let me finish at the table. Everybody who is in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. And Johnny, are you for it?
No.
No, we're not signing it.
So it's holding
Holding the revisions.
revisions. You're opposed to revisions?
Different doors.
Yes.
It's diff- Yes.
If you're not gonna put, read it out or change your windows and come back.
Or you want to change the windows? Oh, okay, I didn't understand.
Eliminate them, that's fine.
Well, we're still holding for revisions.
Yeah, I'll see what Lisa comes up
Okay,
with.
so that's a yes for everybody. And it's 7:00, so we're going to
It
take.
is?
Take a break. 6:40.
6:40, oh, my watch says it is 7:15.
Yeah, let's get some more under our belt.
Yeah,
We have a thing to.
Do?
Is TJ doing his or?
Yeah,
You want to do your
Yeah,
two
we'll do
now?
mine.
Yeah, do yours really fast.
No, the first one is 27 milk, right?
Well, are we going back to the?
Yeah, it would be the other one.
All right, we'll fill John in.
50 of them here. No, we're.
She was joking.
She was just teasing. She was getting your break.
I know, but
Boy.
let's do this really fast.
So what are we doing, 5 Old Mill or 27? It looks like
5 Old Mill.
Okay.
This is one of those stupid things.
It's one of those stupid things here, folks.
Is
So-
it, the house is already approved, right?
Yeah, the house is approved. What happened is if you look on the west lot line, I had to maintain 10 feet from that tank that you see on the lot line. So I had to shift the building just so I get that 10-foot clearance. So what I did was I shortened the porch on the east elevation by 3 feet, made it a less deep porch. And I added crossbuck railings to the underside of the porch.
Yeah.
And you'll see a note, there's a note for clarification on here. I don't have that elevation, but it says something about elevating the building 2 feet, which is not quite the case. In absolute elevation, the finished floor raised 2 feet based on some revised topographical information we got. It's having trouble with that word.
Not hypocritical.
So, based on the revised topo information, we realized that in absolute elevation, the floor is going to be, 2 feet higher, but the elevations are about the same as approved in the end.
Page of order.
I don't have a problem with chopping the porch back 3 feet and adding
Putting
a
those nice little
crossbar.
railings.
Yeah.
I think it looks nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I make a-
Johnny? You got say?
Whatever elevation is west. Towards the road, it's there. The D window, right here. It's listed as casement.
What's this, Kate?
Casement,
Awning.
wait a minute, awning.
Yeah.
It's already approved.
It's already been approved.
that wall is none of my business, but as far as visually, a typical window.
But it's already been approved.
Okay, right?
It was already approved. We're only here for the shortening of the porch and the cross.
Same thing, you're right.
Well, every once in a while.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I made a motion to approve. as
To approve
submitted.
as submitted?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody agrees?
Aye, well, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is the second one, which is 5 Old Mill Court.
No, that,
that's the one we just did.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah. So the 27 mil.
27, there it is. I got this. Reverse.
Lucy Dave, foundation elevation.
I did say that.
Stevie.
Thank you. Sounds good.
So on this one, it's another sort of clarification, or it's clarification, point of clarification. The elevations that are approved are exactly as I propose them now, but I just want to be sure everybody knows that we're elevating 32 inches, not 24. I had misrepresented the amount that we were moving it up in the previous application.
Was it intentional?
It was not intentional.
There you go.
But
Assad
nothing's
has
changing.
To say that they have no concerns.
Okay,
Okay, so 32 to, 24 to 32.
yeah. Just,
8 inches?
yeah, but really the elevations and the ridge height already reflected 32 anyway. I just had written
Okay.
on the application 24, where I should have written 32.
Gotcha. But so the drawing didn't change at all,
No.
other than the moved labeling
Yeah.
of the dimension. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make
we
a
have a
motion to approve is submitted.
Alrighty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Get too
opposed?
excited. You gotta get snapping. We're trying to catch up. These simple things, you're moving along.
What's the hurry? We're dying anyway.
That's not true.
We're all gonna be dust
I'm
eventually,
not doing it.
unless we're,
Hang in there.
All right then.
Not dust.
hey, welcome. Well, if you're a
Hi.
billionaire, you're gonna have to bill, you'll be fine.
Next is 36 Western Avenue, move and demo house.
TJ, you too?
Yeah, I'm on this one.
Oh, yeah,
Hi, John. I'm good. How are you?
pretty good. Could be better, but I don't know.
You get one more than Sean if you got one.
How did they ever split this into these long skinny rocks?
Long and skinny, huh?
Why do they do, why does the planning board,
This was pre-zoning. This
yeah.
was like, zoning didn't exist for 30 years or 50 or 100 years before these.
This is the house that is next to the parking lot where it goes.
That's right.
And he came down. He was a contentious resident. I was his mailman, so I know.
McMass?
When did we come up with zoning, 1976 or 74? 72?
Yes.
So 16 years is per day.
You don't wanna demo this QV, do you? It's not what we're here for.
Yes, or a move. So,
What's going up there?
well, that's the question here. So, if you look at the photographs, which I should have provided you.
I got
and,
photograph.
yeah, I think that was all included in the packet. John and Steve are looking at them now. So the survey form indicates a 1946 construction with contributing is not an issue, builder unknown. Architectural significance is not important.
and architectural style is NA. So it's built on piers. I suspect from inspecting it, the interior and walking around the outside, that it started out as some sort of a shed, most likely, maybe a fishing shanty or something, and it's been added on to in a hodgepodge way for the last 60 years. The interior photos, if you look at those, Doug Collins is in there. He's pretty tall fella, and you can see that the interior is very cramped. The doors certainly aren't legal height. The kitchen is more of a glorified little, looks like it belongs in a boat. It's so small. It's a 2-foot range. There's hardly room for the sink. There's a microwave and a toaster oven stacked next to it. The place is very...
It's got 4 pizza boxes.
4 pizza boxes. Something was going on.
Rob, it does say
Next to a great big
contributing,
refrigerator.
in your survey.
It says it's contributing on the National Register.
Built in 1946. I don't. And it's just a hodgepodge of
Yeah, John has comments.
I haven't got...
tiny
No,
additions.
just so you know.
Yeah.
So.
You know, the interior is not really our jurisdiction, so I'm like just looking at the outside. I would like to see a house like this saved.
I would too. Johnny, do you have something to say?
Yes, I believe this cottage is 70 years old. The only thing I can say is it's a shame to see it go. It's one of the few cottages out there with a beach-style design.
Exactly.
And I think it's, move it, but don't lose it. That's what I say.
It's in,
I say don't lose it
it's in
off
good
the site.
condition.
Demolish it, no.
So,
Thank you.
who's on? You?
Oh, I am on it, okay.
Look, it's the most
I think there's, I agree with John, a lot of character, and, you don't see many of these. I remember there was one on Nantucket a few years ago that got moved around the corner to Surfside, very beachy cottage. So I would, be cool if somebody snatched this up and actually moved it, because I think, a little bit of work, and it's pretty workable in the end, even on the inside.
He's kept it up in very good condition. The house is not
Mm-hmm.
bad.
You're learning your lesson there, right?
I'm listening.
Bring in a nasty picture of the inside next time.
Well, those are pretty nasty, but that's not what we're here for. We're here
Right.
to retain, historic homes, and this is an old beach house, and they're going fast.
And it really shouldn't be moved very far because it is a beach house.
Yeah, it's
That's
where
what
it's,
it is.
that's where it sits on the site has a lot to do with its historic
Put your hand around it.
significance.
And we need to see, actually, we need to see what, just a minute, Johnny, I'll finish mine and then you need to speak again. I would like to see what is proposed to go in that area before I would at all go for a demo. The house fits where it is. It's the last house before you get to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the house across the street, directly across the street from it, was a little baby house, and she put the second floor on, and now it looks like,
And it now looks like this.
yeah, it's not very lovely. And
This is
Carl
right across the
England's
street.
house is, Whalebone is probably the only house that still remains as it did. I don't think they put anything on it. The 2 houses in front have been
Mm-hmm. Redone.
enlarged all over.
Right. This is the context. These are the
25 years I went
closest
past
5 or
those
6.
houses
How
every day.
about, why doesn't anybody want to take these homes and renovate them? I mean, you can add onto them, or put another building with it, and use it as a cottage, or,
That's what I was going to suggest next.
oh,
What
Let
if
me
maybe
get
the
John.
youth hostel
Could we
would
use?
want
Could
it?
we perhaps? Yeah, maybe the youth hostel, which is right across the street. But maybe it's part of part of our discussion and concept, could we take maybe a portion of this and incorporate it into a new design? Would that be?
That would be good. Let me get, Johnny wants to say something, let me get him taken care of. John?
Due to the fact that we have no idea what might replace it, and our general policies of move demo, I'd like to make a motion that we hold this for the 60 days to try out and see if they can move it and get rid of it. Because we have no idea what's going there, and I'd hate to see us approve a demo and it's gone.
Well, I'd like to see them deal with this cottage on the site, like renovate it there, use it.
That could be done, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing in front of us.
I mean, I'm serious. It's just, we just said, you know what we're doing here. We're getting rid of all of these old buildings. And, you know, as an architect, it's your responsibility to educate your clients and say, this is Nantucket, this is what we have, and, you know, let's work with it. Let's not lose this history.
So,
We have a motion on the floor, does it have a second?
no. Do you want to,
Give it time, maybe incorporate the suggestion in 60 days.
no, I don't want to, I don't want to put a time limit on it now. I want to find out more about it. I want to see what they want to do.
Could we hold
Because we
it-
are told to do that. Don't change the streetscape and making this little cottage, which then runs out into the sand and stuff. We should see definitely what should go there.
Could we hold the track with a proposal on what's gonna go there, to Abby's point? Maybe
Yes.
this gets incorporated into that proposal?
I think we should, I think that would be a good idea, and so, do you think it's a good idea to do that?
Well, I think, are you willing to work with your clients or yourself?
They're
as if
going,
it's
they're
a
going to
strike?
have to tell me what they want, what they want me to do. Okay?
Well,
So,
well, let's, I mean,
you know, I understand 110% what you're saying about the beach cottages and so forth and blah, blah, blah. I think that if you really take a look and see that the scale and the condition of what's here, it was just a small, probably started out as a shed. And someone is just,
yeah, that's
you
the
know,
beauty of it.
yeah, but the interior, if we were to take this and renovate it, you can see from the interior that you know, Doug can hardly stand up in here, and even if he's 6'6", those ceilings are about 6'6". If he was standing up straight, his head would be hitting that ceiling.
Well,
You know?
you can, yeah.
So it's,
But,
It's a contributing building. We have a responsibility to,
okay. I'll suggest that, you know, we take a portion of it and at least keep the essence and the flavor of what's there.
try.
And see what we get for how they would like to proceed. So, how does that sound?
Sounds good, and I'll make a motion to hold for revisions then.
Okay. And could we just quickly talk about the garage?
yep. We all vote on the last
Doug
one.
Collins.
Hold for revisions.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
everybody.
Okay. So the we ready? Yeah. So the survey form shows this as unknown all the way down the important section. It's a 300 square foot little garage, which personally I think is more viable than
same as,
I don't know. It looks steeper to me. Here's a photo of the,
Oh, yeah.
looks a
Yeah,
little
Your
steep.
hand's a little bit, yeah. Yeah. So-
yeah, it's a little old salt box kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lean to.
So, how does anybody want to attack this? Abby?
What's the condition of the, is there a foundation, is that on a cement floor?
It's basically sitting on the dirt, and this building incidentally is off the setback. So this is very close to the property line of the land bank parking lot. So that would be really nice to get moved away from that parking lot, maybe even moved away. I mean, that would be an easy move someplace.
So,
This is a hard call, but, because it goes with the house, but, like, if we had to compromise, if they would save the cottage and duplicate this garage somehow as part of, you've got a lot of, it's a pretty big lot, right? It's just long and skinny.
Well, it's going to be limited to 3 bedrooms because of the septic
Okay.
field capacity, and by the time they deal with the dune and the conservation restrictions,
Yeah,
the
okay.
septic issue, it's not a very big lot, even though it's 2 acres and long and skinny. The buildable footprint is relatively small.
I'd like to see it saved if it could be saved. I don't want to be a broken record here, but that's my feeling.
well, do you want to have it under hold and he can talk to, Bob can talk to his clients and see what they're willing to do?
Track
Yeah, we'll track it with the house. How about that?
All right.
All right. So, motion,
Motion
we
to
will have,
hold to track the main house.
right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you again very much.
All right,
Now it's 7.
now it's 7.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, thank you.
Somebody light those candles
Come
for
up
her.
and get a piece.
Hold on, I've got
I don't have a lighter.
I got one.
He said that we had the numbers reversed. It should be 48.
Of course.
All right, you have to pretend you're blowing them out.
Ready? I don't have a lighter.
We're only in a police station.
I don't want to add to the carbon monoxide load in here already.
I'm gonna set off the friggin' fire alarm. We're supposed to be part of the.
It's not an open fire, it's a closed fire.
Sprinklers might get us, John.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's
you're-
very nice, thank you. That's
Well-
probably the last one, too.
No, don't say that.
Oh, get out of here.
Jesus.
I'm a month older than
Start
you
right
are.
now, brother.
Start cutting it up.
Hey, Kelly.
This would be.
Yeah, well, I want it
It's
right.
not a turkey.
Looks
Right.
great. Diane spent all day making
You
this.
think you got matches in there?
No.
You
No.
can't.
Oh,
I still love you even though you don't call me.
I call you.
You guys want some cake?
You got a lot to go on your plate when you're sharing.
Good, they're hungry, too.
wanna eat it? One big piece, a little piece?
Little piece.
Big piece, I'm going down.
Trying to flatten out this round bit here.
That good living?
Thank you.
Not only do we sing, we deliver.
Wow, thank you.
You guys want cake?
I'm great, thank you. Good? A little piece, actually, yeah. Dig in.
And I'll have a little.
Dig out. It's a birthday card.
Happy birthday to you.
No, delicious.
Terry, want some?
Speaking of birthdays, I'll tell you a story.
Is it clean?
Yes. This young fella, he just turned 21. He's able to drink, so he goes in the bar room and he sits down next to this elderly gentleman. He says, hello, son. He says, hello. You look happy. What's the matter? Is something wrong? Is everything okay? Yeah, he said, today's my birthday. 21 today, 21 today. Guy said, I'll buy you a beer. Thank you. He gets him a beer and he drinks it, you know. He says, well, you finish that beer quick. He says, yeah, 22 today, 22 today. Your grandfather told me that up on Milk Street.
John, I want to present you with this belt. This is an original Vulcan belt.
Oh my
buckle.
God.
It was given to me by a good friend who was given to him by Leonard Nimoy himself.
Leonard Nimoy.
I know you're a big fan.
Huh?
I know you're a big fan.
It's nice and small.
He gave that to me earlier.
Wow, hey, look, you came seconds and thirds.
I know, I was given such a small.
Oh, I'll take it back, I guess.
Indian giver.
He was like,
I wanted him
to have it.
Give me that thing.
He's gonna hit you.
Leonard Nimoy will never forgive you.
I wanted to give it to someone who's important. My God.
No good, that's true. No good deed goes unpunished.
Wow, where's Val?
Well, after all of that,
It's a
did you get
delicious
some
cake.
cake, Steve?
No, that's all right. I don't mind being last. As long as I get some.
Johnny, do you remember the name of Johnny Bernard's house?
Oh yeah, there's two. One they call it the Castle, and the other is the,
Was it the Ponderosa? The Ponderosa?
no, well, some people did, but basically it wasn't, not many people knew about the Ponderosa name.
Right.
Yeah, there's another one. There's, the Castle and,
Have another piece.
Not a lot.
Can I need lots of frosting. Can I have one from the outside?
Yes, oh my God, yes.
Me too, I love frosting.
Yeah.
And that's not sugary.
Yes.
It's good
seems
frosting.
coffee.
This is my.
Diane,
like
you
that
gotta fit
frosting.
yourself.
Did you make, did somebody make this?
I made it.
No way. Are you kidding me?
And you put it in packaging and
My
everything.
latest achievement has been a tiramisu.
This tastes like
Which
tiramisu.
came out.
Would you mind
Very
passing that to
good.
Bill?
Thank you.
Valerie, did you make this?
I didn't, Diane did.
Very good, terrific.
Oh, I had 2 plates.
Right on the money.
I think actually I had 3 or 4 plates.
The frosting is excellent.
Isn't it good?
It's nice, it melts in your mouth.
Happy
Yogurt,
Hey, stop it.
yogurt cake.
1, 2, 3, 4.
22 today, 22 today.
Yeah. Where's the beer?
Anyone else's birthday's coming up?
Yeah, mine's in a month.
Yeah, this.
Oh.
So we need another cake on Thursday to celebrate John's birthday.
I think a good
that's gonna
stout.
be-
We have a good stout with this. This would be excellent.
26.
Yeah, I like that.
Like a-
39.
Or a porter.
Damn, that was pretty close.
May I have a fork?
Holding up the party.
Oh, I have some, thank you. With a little extra frosting already on it. Look at that.
Send this to the New York Times.
Oh, this is almost like an ice cream.
It's whipped cream.
But it's made with real cream, otherwise you get that funny taste in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
To ask you something. The planning board allowed Terry, whatever his name is, I'll tell you,
Sanford?
Sanford, to put in a driveway on Union Street, on Fayette Street, that was supposed to be a hammer. You were supposed to drive in,
Oh, and be able to turn around on site,
then you were supposed to
Use
turn
this
to the
trash
left of
so I can take it with
like
me.
a 3-point turn.
yeah, and then come out and go this way. They do not do that. Nobody follows the rules. They have yelled at my grandchildren, sworn at
Take the
them.
rest home.
They called up
Really good.
the DPW and
This is
told
so
them to
good.
take away the parking, the handicap parking spaces. Although I was given the parking spaces by the Board of Selectmen.
That's not very nice.
They just called up yesterday and did it again. And I want to know why the planning board would allow a driveway that is inconceivable to use, and they don't use it, and they attack the residents around.
Well, I mean, let me say this. My understanding is that if it's a special permit, which I believe it is, that you would be able to go to the planning board staff and, like, somebody would come to John,
Andrew?
or Holly, I mean, she's the land use planner, and just let her know that you have a concern because it's not being used the way you thought it was approved, and can she verify that, or?
My handicap spot, I can't get
No,
out of the house.
I mean their driveway's not being used the way it was approved, the way you think it was approved, and as a result, it's affecting your ability to use your handicap parking space, and it's creating these other issues and tensions, which is something that they can
What is
address.
the date today?
Or look at. And then she'll be able to pull the it'll be like John, somebody comes in with a complaint, John will pull the
That's what I
application and
wasn't
look
sure.
at it and try and figure out what's what, make heads or tails of it, and then move it forward if it can be moved forward. But I would suggest speaking to her, or,
Good?
I think she's good. I think she pays attention and she's vigilant in her job, which is really all you can ask of someone. And do your job.
No, I just, since it's a legal handicap spot,
Well, they can't obstruct it. I mean, that's a
They
matter
want us
for the
to
police.
move.
I'll
Well,
go on in a little bit.
That is so
Towed.
good.
In a little bit.
we've had 6 cars be towed. One guy parked there 3 days in a row, and it took us that long to realize that he was
Abby, you
using
want second?
his husband's
I had seconds.
handicap.
No third?
No, now I'm feeling a little funny.
Oh, as a parking space out somewhere in town.
He works at the lobster trap,
Well, you could also,
and his husband is handicapped and has a placard, so he drives the car and parks in the handicapped spot, walks down to the lobster trap, works there all day.
I don't know. I think you bring up an interesting point, which is, was the handicap space created for someone specific? Or is it a general use?
No.
It sounds to me like it was created for someone specific.
It was created for me, but we don't object to people with real handicap placards from parking there.
Right.
I cannot get out of the house when somebody is parking. I've missed 2 doctor's appointments, invitation to dinner and some other because cars were parked there for like all day. And if you're if you are handicapped, are you going to go on Fayette Street?
Right. So it sounds to me like
No,
you
I
have
meant
two
like in
issues,
terms of
really.
travel time.
Right? You've got this issue you brought up with your neighbor and the approval and the driveway not being used the way it's supposed to be. And then you have the issue of a handicap space that's being used as an out-of-town parking space,
Right,
which is contrary to the use it was originally intended.
that's why they've collected $600 cars that are parked there.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is it seemed like with respect to the second thing, which is people using it for purposes otherwise, other than it was intended, that maybe the police department.
Oh, they've been there. They've
But-
towed and ticketed.
I don't know how else you would do it. It might be that that if traffic safety were to say that it's handicap parking, but it's, intervals, a certain amount of time. So it might have a sign that says handicap parking limited to X amount of time, like 10
Well,
hours
we
or
don't
12
even
hours or 12
ask
hours.
that, because as soon as the summer's over,
It's done.
It's done. It's not done. The only guy that had it there all day was the guy who wasn't handicapped, but used his husband's parking.
Ah,
Those guys like that.
It was, and he's saying, well, I had a handicapped placard. Well, Diane happened to know him because he used to be the bartender down at the Rosencrantz. And so she said, like, you're
All right,
handicapped,
are we
how
ready
did you
to-
get
oh,
handicapped?
rock and roll?
Where'd you walk to?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not like there's stores on Fayette Street.
Yeah, well, there aren't. And the guy down the street,
Having a delicious steak.
not just for us, the guy down at 11, which wasn't supposed to be there, it was supposed to remain this little work shed that had been there since 1850. The parking space is big enough that you can get a little Ranger truck in,
Thank
and
you.
that's it.
Oh, really?
do we wanna wait for John?
It should be right.
So I'll sit on these. Someone clarify for me, we pulled 20 and 22?
20 and 22.
And Estelle,
Okay, thank you.
It's actually ask you.
Ask
Must have been a typo.
Did I ask you?
I always say everything.
Ask you or Nadia.
Welcome.
Ask you.
Hello, gentlemen.
How are you?
Steve Welch. We don't have name tags. They got shut down.
It's next year.
Oh, really? I thought they got shut down.
Seriously?
Like a cake.
Well, because you got your committee, we are, but there's lots of
Hey,
people who
Diane,
don't,
do you
so we
think I
thought
could,
we could put
I
them
think
here and you
I'd
can
like
read
to
them.
get out of here by 9 o'clock, I have a house
Names
guest.
on there too.
Yeah.
Do you think we could get,
Yeah, I would like to.
John is codger.
It's in West Elevation. Let me
Johnny.
start, even though
Johnny.
Johnny's not here yet, we can tell him.
yeah, he can come right in.
74R Center Street, it says prefer to be lower, would be great, and include photos and to show rehabilitation of addition to entire east,
No,
what's that word?
I don't know, but whoever wrote that needs to write better. Would be,
I thought that said would be great to include photos
and
And
to
to
show something
of addition
to
to entire elevation.
Oh, is this that captain's house on the corner?
Yeah,
Yeah.
then there's a letter.
No, sorry, that's actually for 78.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, it's not for this application?
No, I believe that's for 78.
John, can John sit on this if he's not in here, if we get started?
We're not going to stop, we've got to wait for him, but he should be back anyway. Wait, 5.
So you're just showing us a partial,
Yeah, but do you remember, it was huge when they got the whole thing on here.
oh, is this the
Guest
the
house,
hotel?
right?
or the-
No, it's right across the street,
It's
actually.
right across the street, but it's all kind of like pea green color.
Yeah.
And it's got 2 entrances.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive building. You can see
Yeah.
the footprint of it. And I think we have photographs in the, it was submitted with the file of the existing building.
We don't have
All right,
that.
we can begin now. All right, Matt.
Do anything with this one? I think
is on the Lily Street,
Correct.
on the right side going down, okay. All
Correct.
right, just wanted to orient myself.
Condos.
So if I could start, well, I think you actually, I think everyone got their orientation, they know that this is an existing building. The original structure is this C-shaped structure. It is that portion of the building is contributing, it's a historic structure. This particular unit that is at the tail end of the structure was a later addition. If you look at the Sanborn maps, it's not on the latest Sanborn, which I think is 23, so it's definitely after 23. Based on the framing, it's 2x4 framing, so if I had to guess when the date of this addition, if you will, it's definitely after 23. It's got 2x4 framing. You know, the foundation is a little bit of a mix, but it's block. If I had to guess just based on the framing, I'd have to say at least like 40s, 50s. But based on the historic information we have that are available to us, both aerials and Sanborns, we can definitively say it's definitely after 23. The existing, it's a condo. This building is made up of condos. Right now, the floor plan, you can see that there's a second floor loft with dormers on the rear of the structure, which is on your east elevation. The floor is in really bad shape. There's just water damage, so it's 2x8s, and they're deflecting, and that whole first floor system has to be replaced. There's also some separation, some spreading, if you will, on the second floor plate. And so Mr. Bank just purchased the unit and is looking to do some renovations. After assessing everything, it's we're going to have to basically rebuild the roof and the first floor deck. And so while we're there, we wanted to add a little bit of height so that we can actually, there's some low headroom issues on the second floor, and basically pretty much doesn't meet the requirements for minimum headroom for a bedroom. And so we want to make it compliant by adding roughly 3 feet to the height of it. We obviously know that we don't want to significantly change the aesthetic of it. So the first floor fenestration, with the exception, first floor fenestration we've kept intact, and we've just elevated the plate height and added these 2 dormers on the west elevation, which is the pretty much the only visible or the most visible elevation, if you will. The east elevation, again, is not visible from any public way. I understand that the eave height is lower than you would typically prefer. We want that eave height to hit at the meeting rail. Given the geometries and the desire for us to not want the ridge height to compete with the secondary mass of the historic structure,
I'm glad you did
we
that.
tried to keep it as low as possible. Again, that rear elevation east is not necessarily what I would do if it was visible. It still kind of bothers me, but the truth is no one's ever going to see it, and I think that it, in deference to the historic structure, we want to keep a significant difference in ridge height.
Well, you're kind of keeping it the way it is, it's just getting bigger.
It's just getting a little
Yeah, it's
taller.
like 8 feet taller or something?
3 feet, just 3 feet taller.
3 feet taller.
No, I meant the dormer.
Oh, yes, exactly. Thank you, Val. One other final point that Paul wanted to point out, so this has been, not that it's necessarily under your jurisdiction, but all of the condo owners have seen these plans and signed off on it, just so you know that there's support from the building owners association. And that's it, Madam Chair, thank you.
All right, does anybody have any particular questions they need to have answered before?
I've got one, I would have one question. I got there first. I know it's your birthday, but I just wanted to know how far forward is this new elevation coming from that secondary,
From the
yeah, like
existing structure.
right now, I think the lily pad is like flush with that.
We're not
But now
bringing
it looks like it comes forward.
No, we're not bringing it any closer.
No, okay, all right, thank you.
It's the same exact footprint.
Okay.
So we're actually gonna keep the foundation, and we're probably gonna rebuild, we're gonna see how it goes there, but we definitely have to replace the first floor and the roof. There's rot in certain areas, so there may be portions of the first floor that we have to replace as well, so.
So Sorry, John, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Yes, I have a comment, the, west elevation, which is towards Village Street, which is pretty highly visible, that the second floor, the windows are listed as casements, which is very highly inappropriate windows, and if they're fixed, permanent, inoperable, that matches the ones that we do approve.
We could change that, John.
Yeah. The other side, on the east elevation, I believe that can be visible from Center Street. And on that one there, it sticks out a little, so it'll be more highly visible. But the meeting rails are going to be a problem on that, for the normal. Could you get another height out of the roof to make sure that gutter line goes straight through?
Yeah, if I can answer that, sure. I mean, one way to do that would be, I don't want to raise the eave, obviously, on the west elevation any higher, but it could basically be an uneven pitch, which is not something I would normally do. But again, we could raise the plate height on the rear elevation only, so there are two separate pitches. So it's like a 9 on the front, and it might be like a 7 on the back.
But if you go and try to get your meeting rails down, the bottom of the window's gonna be on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. We want to raise that plate, if anything.
Try to raise the plate and get that gutter line through there. Maybe if you do that on the other side too, we'd match it,
Show them,
Visible.
the existing.
Yeah. The existing, just to point out, John, you can see the existing dormer. So it's somewhat of an existing condition that we're, the other thing no,
Make a salt box.
Did you read
Only a suggestion.
this thing? Did everybody have a chance to read the structure inventory form that it was built originally in 1785?
That was the front.
Yeah, but that's part of what, it's part of the whole building.
I thought you said that it wasn't on the Sanborn map.
It's not, yeah. No, the original building is interesting and historic
Yeah,
and significant.
And it has a ghost.
Does it?
Yeah.
Great.
And
There you go,
it,
Bob.
and
there's realistic shape. The whole building or just this?
No girls.
No,
in
no,
window.
the front part of that
Okay,
house. I had some friends that lived in it one winter.
and it had a fire I remember that fire in 1986. And it was, a lot of it was rebuilt then, when the fire occurred. And now it's apartments and condos.
But is this little lily pond, that has no historic?
No, that's,
significance?
well, it doesn't say much about that, but that's one of the C's legs, isn't it?
What is it?
It is now, but
Yeah.
he showed us the Sanborn maps. It's not on any of those up until
23.
till they stopped doing them.
So on that west elevation, I'd support John's comments, and maybe if those were hopper, that might be an option too. On the east elevation, you had an existing situation, which is that flush dormer. I don't have a concern about extending that. And looking at the structures in the neighborhood, I think it's appropriate.
Alrighty.
Otherwise.
Val?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
And I ditto it.
Do we have a feedback on whether hoppers or fixed would be acceptable?
Hoppers is fine, yeah. I mean, it'd be better if it was operable. It's not gonna be required for egress, obviously, but sometimes it is nice to be able to open it, so hopper will be fine.
So I'll make a
Those are
motion.
the west elevation.
Yeah, it's open by this concept.
I make a motion to approve as submitted, subject to the west elevation dormer B windows being changed to hoppers through staff.
And that the dormer condition exists, so.
Yeah, the minutes, it'll be in.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. That's it.
Opposed? You're in favor? Thank you.
Okay. So now we have got
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thanks for the cake.
Tim
You
Grow.
wanna take some home?
No, I'm just gonna come back when the next birthday is.
We have 12 Field Avenue. Fenestration and deck stuff.
No, still Stephen. I'll sit on Matt's.
Beauty.
It's gorgeous, this house.
This is, I dig in the exterior spiral stair. Always wanted one of those.
Yes,
I'm gonna come in for one on the front of the house.
yeah.
To a pool.
Did you already do this one now?
We did. If you want me to go, I can give you a quick synopsis of what we're looking to do.
That quick would be
Very
good.
quick is the operative word. All right, so so you did approve this. The west elevation, we're looking to omit this stoop and a door. Again, it's on the back of the house, it's not visible, so that's pretty simple. Replace it with a smaller window. And then the other change is basically taking the deck. You did approve the deck.
Good place.
That we're looking to get an extra 3 feet out of it, because it's just the existing's a little tight. That's it.
Because of the chimney?
The chimney, yeah, I mean, it's just tight. We kind of like taped it off, and it's trying to get a tape off up there is just really tight. You can see that the distance that we're increasing it. We've got a couple of openings in the east and west elevations of that deck.
Do you stick in a shower there?
It's there. It's an existing house.
Oh, it's already existing. The shower, is that, what is that?
It's just a shower, and it's just on the inside of the, outside of the chimney. You can see it in the first floor plan.
All right. Donnie, you got any statement?
No.
How about you, Mr. Welch?
Yes, I did have one.
He's like a little
The
kid.
porch is gonna come back 3 feet.
Ah, you got it. You got it. It's your birthday.
You're the porch lady, say something.
Well, I know, but I was gonna let it
lady.
go because of the chimney. So,
Well, 10 feet is what you're shooting for, John? Yeah?
8 is,
10. Did you say 10?
8's the U.
10. Right here, 10?
Used to be 15.
All right, well.
I'm just,
This building,
So my comments would
getting
be,
away with a lot.
Matt, what can you do something with that?
I could pull it back. I mean, I actually did always think it was, because it is an existing, kind of, if it's a cut-in deck, I could, typically I know that 8-foot rule, but where it's squared,
Yeah.
10 would be, look, I'll take whatever I can get. So obviously, the 3 feet would be great if we can get.
Can you do something? I don't really see you got existing doors there, so it's not like you could do a shed roof there and then cut
Right.
back so your outer rail is 8 feet, but your lower deck outer rail is where it is showing now. There's really, I don't see how you'd be able to do that.
Right.
I'm willing to compromise with the board, whatever you want to do about the deck. You want to pull it back a foot.
I think sometimes that 8-foot rule is a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, this house,
I mean, who's gonna jump
And
out
because
measure?
that chimney is where it is in the
and I,
spiral
actually,
stair.
I like the proportions that you put there because it just brings it out. And if you shortened it, it's going to make that seem pinched.
Yeah, I don't want John to lose it on his birthday, but I
I
do
know.
think the structure can support that. It's not, my understanding of the 8 feet is that you don't want to be having a deck on a second floor just hanging off the side of a building. And I think that this massive chimney and then the way you design the lower structure railing which I think is critical. Having a shingled wall with a cap there makes all the difference in the world with this. I would, however, suggest that the south elevation, maybe you could cut back a little bit. I'm not sure how you're going
Those
to do
two
that.
posts there, though, you know.
Here, just this looks kind of.
Because that probably on the eave is so low.
I mean, it is existing, so, or it's previously approved. Oh, I see, it was cut back before. I'm not really sure how you would do that without having to put a roof on, which would make it look very strange. Because it's not like you'd have a small tent wrap returning from the back there. It would be just floating in a way. I think it can support it. I think it's okay.
As it is.
As it is.
Okay, how about you?
I'm thumbs up.
All right, Johnny?
Go for it.
And you?
I'm fine with that. I'll make a motion to
So make a
approve
motion to approve
as submitted.
Shipping orders are very thankful.
All those?
Aye.
Okay, good. So, what do we get now?
Did we skip 141 Orange?
Yeah.
Yes. People
And
missing.
115, we're skipping to.
Oh, goody.
And we're also, while we're on that, I'd like to hold 28 and 29 for next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'll make that motion. Oh,
No, go ahead.
all right, motion to hold 28 and 29 till next Tuesday.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next one is 78
78 Center Street.
Center Street.
Thank you.
Here's Ruby.
There it goes.
And his Hashab. They need to start
Can we
writing
read?
better.
Can we read what they said this time?
Needs some revisions on fenestration.
Yeah. Who is that? Writes like that.
Probably
Michael
Mickey.
May.
Yeah, he's got the black pen. So he's the only one who's got a black pen. So, and we have a letter from the Lily Street neighbors have seen the revised plans for the inn expansion and are gratified that the owners have taken the planning board's concern to heart and increased the setback on Lily Street. At this point, we have two concerns that we hope the HDC might address for us. Now that the building has moved west, would it be possible to save the big tree that was going to come down when it was in the way of the expansion but is no longer? Is that a town tree?
No, it is not.
Would it be possible to cite the AC conditions out of sight of the Lily Street sidewalk? I.e. place them on the west side of the inn out of pedestrian sight. And so thank you very much for presenting this to the board. Respectfully yours, Thomas and Beth Bowie.
Wow.
What, good?
That's a lot of kudos for you because they are right there and those are the only two things they said.
Yeah.
Tree and,
Well, they had some kind words a year ago when we first came in. They equated it to a penitentiary.
yeah.
Yeah.
So things have warmed since
So,
then?
yeah.
Well, I think they're big, so I don't know if you recall, but this did go to the planning board, and it got, I guess, I don't know what the official term was, but basically the neighbors made a point that they wanted the facade to be pushed back behind the setback, even though it technically wasn't required. And so that's what we've done. And it eliminated, let me just kind of run through the elevations really quickly. So the primary change is on
South?
East elevation, sorry, A2.2. That facade, actually, if it doesn't really look any different, the portion that's clouded actually is set back an additional 5 feet.
No, where you mostly see it is the north, I think.
Or south. The comparative elevation probably is south on A2.1, if you compare drawing 1 to drawing 2, you see how the building just shifts back, so it comes further off the street. We made a couple of additional fenestration changes. I hadn't looked at it in probably 9 months, so just some of the fenestration changes. We had 6/6s on the second floor. We thought that 6/9 was just a little bit more appropriate because there are 9/9s in the building. And we also made the basement windows, we made those double hung, John, so they're not gonna be hoppers, they're double hungs. On the rear of the elevation, which is on A2.3, the west elevation, we previously had a covered porch and a deck, and given that we have to shift the structure back, it doesn't allow for us to have those, the porch or the balcony. And so
That's a bummer.
it is actually, it's unfortunate, but this is what the neighbors preferred, so.
What about the tree? Where's the tree?
The tree's in the front, and the tree, I actually had a call with Dale. This is going
Talk to
back.
him?
What's that?
Have you talked to him?
Oh, yeah, I did, when we were going through the planning board last summer. He pointed out that it is not a town tree. He also mentioned that it is a species of a tree that wouldn't be allowed to be planted or something like that. Basically, it's not it's a specific type of tree that they're.
Oh, it's what, now on the invasive plant list or something?
I think so, yeah, he's like, you wouldn't plant it today or anything, so.
Chinese maple?
Is it the tree growth in Brooklyn kind of tree?
You know, honestly, I'm not knowledgeable enough about it to really speak on it.
Maybe if you found that out and had him write something,
I mean, it was very
then it
clear.
would appease their concern.
Covered and DPW and, you know, on the planning board side.
And what about the AC units? Can you move those?
You know, I would typically have that covered in the landscape plan, but I don't see why, I mean, we clearly don't want them on Lily Street, so I'm not exactly clear which ones they're referring to. I think that they may be commenting on material that they've seen and reviewed in the planning board packet. But, you know, obviously we wouldn't want to put them on the Lily Street side.
So they're not on here.
No, we're not showing them currently.
And just for informational purposes, because we obviously don't approve plant materials. You think you're gonna be doing some type of replication of landscaping with trees somewhere?
I mean, that tree
is not gonna be there, but there would be something that's gonna be a vertical element? At some point, as it matures over time?
I would think so. I mean, again, not being an expert in vegetation or landscape architecture, I mean, I would say that, yeah, it would be great. The one thing I would just say is long-term, depending on where you would place it on the Lily Street side, there's certain programmatic requirements we have for the site, specifically the parking, handicap accessibility. So you're kind of limited in terms of where you could put some, you know, just trees, for example, a tree. As it grows, you know, 25, 30 years out, I would probably, we would want to be cognizant of not creating a problem for the future if the building is either too close, you know, to the sidewalk or the building itself. So to what extent we could do plantings, I would say that we do them, but short of having a landscape plan, which we will have to submit, I can't, I couldn't guess what kind of tree we would put in there.
Yeah, no, that's okay, Matt. I was just kinda curious more than anything. You see these like donuts? So these on the trunk?
Yeah.
So it's improperly pruned, so actually it's rotting the trunk.
Oh.
That's why they're probably dark like that. I was just looking at the tree.
Donuts?
See these, they look like donuts on the trunk. Because the branches were pruned too close to the trunk. And the trunk is grown over the cuts. And it holds moisture. It looks like, if you look close, you probably see the trunk is rotting.
You wouldn't wanna lose that tree, would you?
I mean, it doesn't give me pleasure to cut down a tree.
Yeah, it looks like a golden lily.
But it was covered in the planning board.
It was, I
You can make
have no
it anyway.
concerns.
All right, what about John?
One comment, is on the west elevation.
What is this big board across the window?
On the west.
It's a really good question.
What is it?
Looks like an I-beam.
So I'm getting there.
Looks like an I-beam, but.
I think that is just a graphic anomaly, John.
It's a mistake.
Yeah. AKA a mistake.
That's not a movie screen for the neighbors?
Yeah, it's a big drop-down screen. I think the floor system, or I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I don't think it's not something we're proposing.
Drafting error.
Possible. Yeah, John, it's an anomaly. That's not. I'm not proposing that. So I would omit that from the set.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve this.
Oh, wait, we haven't gone around the.
No,
Oh, I thought we did.
no, we
No.
just got you two and Abby.
Yeah, thank you. So,
It's okay.
all right, so on the west elevation where you had the balcony and the dip down, I would like to see those C windows, 9/9s, is that possible?
I could make the first floor 9/9, and then just to be consistent, and then the second floor could potentially stay the 6/9.
Was going with my other statement about the east elevation, could those windows be lined up over the 9/9s, and could those, could you maybe make 3 on the second floor?
Sure.
One above the door, one lined up, and then another one in the middle, so in a lot of these old buildings, not all of them, but there's so much symmetry,
Yeah, I
it'd be
don't mind
nice
that
to
at all,
have that.
actually.
And I don't know if you could, again, make that, those 9/9s, those Cs, but,
On the second floor?
yeah, I don't know if you have the room to do that.
Like that.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
so what would be a good,
If you want, I can make that and come back for it if you want to see it. Or-
you want us to hold it for revisions or,
Yeah, I don't mind. It's like easier than that next week. That way you can see it and
okay.
Yeah.
give your whole.
So can I have a motion to hold for revisions?
Sure, motion to hold for revision.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.
And Casper's not opposed.
So holding for revisions?
For what you're opposed to
I
what?
withdraw that.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, he's just pulling our leg.
Yep.
It's his birthday.
Matt, you're not doing your next one?
What is it? Sorry.
Or was that it, 78?
That was the 78. Now we have, do we have Seth Brooks? Or is that one of the ones you knocked out?
All right.
I don't think he's here though.
Shelter 70's not here.
65 Westchester.
Are we gonna hold that then?
Let's hold for representation,
All
maybe
right.
he'll come.
Hold 24 and 25?
Yeah.
Moving right along.
All right, and the next one is here, his also, and then we got 26 Bartlett Road, Mr. Dinanporn,
Sawanakan.
a new cottage.
No JB?
And then we've got Janet Air.
Should
Wait, can we hold for,
Cabinet?
because that's a new cottage, can we hold for representation on
Yeah,
that one?
we'll-
26 Bartlett Road?
Yes,
So we're holding 24, 25, and 26 for representation.
Yes.
and now let's try
25,
28, which is 55 Center Street, that's you. We're holding those two.
What about Jane
Well,
Eyre?
yeah,
27's up.
27.
I said that 18 Lindbergh Ave, demo chimney and replace.
No, he's here.
No, he's here.
Yeah,
Oh,
nobody answered, so
Come
I
on
just.
up.
okay.
27's here and being heard. TJ, you're up.
Yeah.
27 on hold, okay.
And
Sorry about
28,
that.
29's holding
Thanks.
till Tuesday.
Good to see you.
You too. I'm Steve Hollister.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, do you want to tell us what you have in mind?
Sure. There's an existing house on the corner of Lindbergh and Clifton Street, and the client has a chimney that's failing. It's been condemned by a couple of masons, and it's starting to crack. And it was never installed with step flashing originally, so water gets between it and the cottage, and it's rotting the beadboard on the inside of the cottage.
It's in her dining room, so it can't be used. But she's been using the firebox for storage over the years, simply because it's such a small cottage and every inch kind of matters. And so what she's hopeful to do is take the chimney down and put a small barnacle or additive mass on the footprint of the chimney, just as an extension of the existing roof plane, so that she could do a dining room hutch built in.
Lindbergh and Swanson.
Oh,
It's on Lindbergh and Clifton,
Yeah.
on the corner.
And so it's a pretty mature hedge. I think you could probably see the top of the roof line extension.
Is there any way they could reconstruct the chimney? Take it down and reconstruct it? Or what?
it says, the sconset says prefer to have the chimney rebuilt. Disrepair condition should not be a factor. It can be repaired. The chimney is a character defining element of the 1910 to 1930 house. Somebody in dissent from the majority opinion. Ellis.
Caroline Ellis. Caroline Ellis?
Mary
Will.
Mary Wills, I think it is.
There was somebody who lived nearby who thought that it was okay to tear it down, but I don't know her name.
She might be Mary Will.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, she lives in Twatty Village.
Well, one thing that is not correct is that it's showing 6/6 windows when they're in fact 2/2. So are the windows changing as well?
No, the photo shows 6/6.
No, they look like 2/2.
No, I think there's
Well,
That's the old photo from these are current photos.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the historic photo.
No windows would be changed.
I think it's a practical solution. I'd rather see the chimney kind of stay because it is character defining, but it's a practical solution to the problem. And I think that's kind of what was done in a lot of cases through history.
But what's
I have no
weird is
problem
how
with
it cuts off like that, and then
Yeah.
there's a casement window.
There'll be a jog in the building there, so they can do storage on the inside. There'll be a bump out.
Put in the bump out.
Yeah, where the chimney is, in plan for storage, is what's proposed.
What do you think, Abby?
I'd like to, I kind of like to see it stay, and I don't really, I'm not enjoying this new design with it looks awkward. I mean, if it were a bigger, they were.
Right.
But, I don't think they're not looking to.
Yeah, she doesn't want to make the footprint any bigger
No, okay,
necessarily.
so, I'd like to
I think
see it
it
restored.
loses its character.
It does lose a little bit.
Chimney.
I'm surprised that Wisconsin advisory said that.
Well, they did say that. It loses its character, didn't they?
Well, one
Yeah,
person
they
said-
did.
They said one
Only
person.
one person dissented, but they said it's
Yeah.
a character defining element of this style of house.
I don't know. What do you think?
So they each wrote their opinion.
I think, given the condition of the chimney, the client might sooner take it down and not replace it, simply because of the cost associated in doing so.
But you have a house that was built between 1910 and 1930. That is an antique house. Do you have information on the background of the house?
A
Just
little
like
bit.
this.
It's not listed as contributing, and the GIS website has it as 1910, and the survey has it as pre-1938.
Yeah, well, that makes it 100 years old, give or take.
I think you guys do have this in the packet.
Val's got 'em.
Because it's such a small house, and she's got to put her dining room table in that front corner of the building, and so the fireplace is behind the dining room table and can't be used anymore. And she's trying to get every inch of storage that she can.
Well, for me, if you're taking the chimney down, I'd say nix the wart, because it's too unusual. Either make it bigger or get rid of it completely, and just leave it without a chimney.
The chimney looks, is it exterior all the way?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So how could it be taking up space inside?
It's not.
It
Why
can't,
are we getting rid of it?
it can't, it's falling apart, is my understanding. It can't.
I'm just saying, instead of this wonky little,
What
whatever.
is that?
Would they wanna take the chimney down and then put this little weird
Yeah,
bump on it?
Yeah,
that-
The reason, just to explain,
Is like-
the bump out, the chimney is in the dining room, and so like, if you're sitting at the dining room table, like I'm sitting here, the chimney's behind the chairs.
Yeah.
And so it can't be used, but she uses the firebox as some storage now. And so the thought was, okay, if we have to take this chimney down, can we keep the footprint area and get additional storage into this little house that doesn't have much?
What was the fireplace for then, if there's no,
Well, they used it, but now they don't because the
Yeah,
chimney
lower,
is
not connected
busted
to the
up.
roof.
right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it was
Did it
used
have an
as a
opening,
chimney.
like they had,
That's
it's like
exactly
a,
what I was thinking.
you said it has a
What if
firebox,
it shed
right?
it off?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
firebox,
north.
like
Yeah,
a
something.
recess.
Is that what you guys are
Doesn't
talking?
make any
Yeah,
sense.
I like that.
Yeah,
So we're thinking it should not connect to the roof, that's where you're losing it.
okay.
It needs to look more like a trash bin.
Like a little
Okay.
shed bump out
And that would
below
be
the
as much
eave
as
of
she
the.
has now.
Okay.
It may be taller than that, but it would give you your closet, but it, maybe, it'd be like it will be
Yeah.
like a closet ceiling under a stair in a
Okay.
sense.
So disconnect it from the rest of that roof plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe turn so
Okay.
it's a little pent roof on the side.
Okay,
Might be an option.
all right.
I'm not sitting on this, I just was
Maybe
facilitating.
we should hold this for revisions.
Yeah, see, but
Yeah, see if it works,
Okay,
and whatever, just give her the information that we're not too thrilled with knocking the
I do
chimney up.
think
Yeah.
it loses something with taking down the.
It does.
okay.
I would say though, if you could find some photos, because this chimney in the historic photo looks significantly different than the chimney that's there.
Yeah, I think maybe half of the top, it looks like there was kind of like
Top
a
piece.
different top detail in the old photo.
Yeah.
It's much cuter, isn't it?
So change the bump out.
Okay. And so separate it from the main roof, or potentially make it bigger so that it looks more logical.
I would turn it, yeah. and
90
then separate,
degrees.
Drop it.
Okay.
So that will give you your separation. It also translate
Did you say that?
into
Yes.
a roofing mass that
I'm
you.
just waiting until he finishes.
That's
and then we'll take a
subordinate.
vote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
okay.
you for that?
So, Johnny, everybody's all set, so we will have a motion for holding for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So it looks
All
like
right,
we're
the
gonna
next
get
one
views.
is, that was done if.
Oh, so did we make a thing to hold all the
20
Hawthorne?
20
Yes,
to
we did
35.
that at the beginning, so now we're going to do what?
Well,
Use-
28 to 35 are bumped.
Yes,
so we're-
they're all going to next Tuesday.
Do you want to
check in with Ms.
Well, we
Sir,
have,
what are you here for? Maybe you
It's only
should
eight.
just come on up.
Well, Mickey Rowell was supposed to handle this.
Oh,
Okay, so he's
Okay.
tool harbor view.
gotcha.
Come on, Mickey, come on in.
Where's Mickey?
Yeah, I know, he was watching TV and then my battery died, so. I got a flat tire or something.
I don't think I have his cell.
He said he was coming.
Yeah. All right, so we'll maybe do Gully,
So
but
hold
Brooke's
one for
not here either.
representation.
Nobody else is
nobody
here.
Hold it. Yeah, hold it for the right.
There's nobody here,
No.
Diane.
What do you do, Hanson?
One is being held for the moment on views.
3, 4, 5, and 6 are being held until next Tuesday. And then
There
Johnny.
he is. John, I'm holding mine.
We're only just in time.
Just in time.
You cut down real close.
So 3 through 6 are being held?
We almost got out of here.
Yeah.
Yes, 3 through 6 are being
And
held.
also 8.
8 o'clock, that would be a record.
You're getting like me. Look at it. What's happening? Age.
Brooke, come on in, you're gonna be up soon.
If you're watching.
And then Han.
Oh, I can text Brooke.
This is Safe Harbor to Harbor View, all in keeping with historic cookies.
Maybe Mickey can read it. The record can't read.
Michael and Brooke wrote it, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael May.
Yeah.
It's his pen, there he is.
Harbor View Way.
What's that word?
I don't know, maybe Nikki knows what it means.
We were just commenting that we can't read these. Features. Historic features.
You've been reading his stuff longer than we have.
Been a long time.
The one with the green roof, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
One with that green
Read
roof.
well one, by the way. Oh, I did look at these.
Is this Steve or PJ?
Out on this one.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
So, what's going on here is we're doing a fair amount of work on the building, which will involve the need to raise it out of the flood, because it's in a floodplain, so we have to raise it up
Oh,
about 2 feet.
Only 2 feet?
Only 2 feet.
Oh, because it's already raised.
It's really not, it's raised a little bit, you can see in the photographs, what's.
Oh, these are all stuck together, hold on, give me that back. And I'll
Take
give
it.
you one of
No,
these.
we got one of these.
Let's talk about it
Done this
separately.
house?
Well, there's 3 houses on the beginning of Harbor
Oh, they
View Way.
look the same.
2 of them are identical. The 2 end ones are identical. And the middle one is basically the same with a different dormer on the front. So the one that's further down, closer to the water, has already been raised up and modified. They actually raised it higher than we're proposing to raise this one. We'll be a little bit lower than that by about 8 inches.
Is that all you're here for?
No, there's other things too. And then it's also being pulled a little bit closer to the street to make way for an addition on the back of it. Only 4 feet deep. And the other house was also pulled forward. So now we're going to be in line with the house 2 houses away, which is the identical house. So in terms of siting, that's what's going on. It's going up 2 feet and closer to the street by 4. There's an addition on the back. We're adding porch roofs. If you look at the south elevation, facing the street, you'll see this massing lower right on the south elevation currently is a shingled, kind of an awkward shingled addition. And we're essentially fenestrating it to make it look like it's a glass.
That looks good.
Yeah, it is.
Looks like something.
To the east, on the east elevation, we're adding 2 balconies. And you'll see that in the photographs I just gave you, that this middle house already has 2, like similar balconies on the same side of the house facing the harbor. So, if you look at the photographs, you'll see kind of what it's going to look like. It's pretty similar. We're not doing the posts as they did next door. We're doing brackets because I think brackets are, there are already brackets on the building. I think it's an appropriate way to handle the treatment of the balcony.
Are you talking about on the big building or this little
Well,
piece?
don't look at the garage right now.
Oh, okay.
Because that's going to come up
Okay.
next. So
Separate application.
it's a separate application. We're just showing them together
No,
because that's
those are
really
on
what
there.
we're
He's
proposing it to
talking
look
about-
like.
Can I just ask Mickey, on your south elevation, on your second floor deck enclosure?
Yep.
Is this a subfascia? What is this area here?
It was supposed to be shingled, but it's
Okay.
shingled.
Okay.
It's a solid shingled wall at the moment, and similar to the neighbors, which they did 2 houses down, because it's a non-code height handrail, guardrail, we're proposing to add that short row of balusters. And again, look at the pictures and you'll see just what that's going to look like, because they did it 2 houses down.
Are you supposed to have circles on these?
I know.
Like
You don't-
circly things around?
Revisions?
Yeah.
Ben's, I asked Ben
Ben
about
is
that.
slacking off.
He said he didn't because there were so many changes around it. The whole thing would be one big cloud, and I kind of think it's true.
Well, it's helpful to have the existing.
Yeah, you got the existing.
But bubbles are nice.
I know.
They're also nice in champagne and beer.
Yeah.
This,
We don't have any here.
So, what else? many of the windows
I'm gonna make one.
have been the previous owner did some work on the building that wasn't quite approved, permitted. So we're actually correcting some of those issues. They had replaced some windows, and we're actually asking for permission to replace the windows that they already did. So they're the same like-kind windows, and it really doesn't look any different. They used 2/2 true divided light. And, so that's not really a visual change, but we're showing it as a revision.
Well, finish that first, all right. All this stuff, that is on the west elevation.
Yeah, that deck on the west elevation is getting us a little bit bigger, but not too big.
Okay, just, what are those, all those
They're
things?
on here.
I can see them on there, but what, do they do just decoration or?
The brackets.
Brackets are existing. For the eave brackets, they're already there, so we're not adding any new
To
ones.
hold up the eaves,
Yep, it's,
in case they should sink, huh?
apparently, they're large overhangs, so they are doing
Yeah, I
some,
remember,
yeah, they're doing work.
this is what, 2 houses up from Ann Stiller's?
No, more than that.
Three,
I guess
4.
it's 3. It's right on the corner of South Beach and Harbor View.
Oh, all right, I know it.
Yeah. It's the old Safe Harbor guest house.
Right. I just never noticed those brackets, I think,
Yeah,
before.
they look so good, you didn't notice them.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, can I start, Diane?
Yes, please
Get the
do.
ball rolling. I am so in favor of the sun porch, and I really think it's appropriate for the architecture. I think putting, getting out outside, cleaning up the back of the house too on the east elevation with that one French door, kind of just neatens everything up. I'm not so opposed to that top French door on the 3rd floor, but I kind of missed the double, what's it called? What is it when you put 2 windows together? The ganged windows in the eave there. It gives it a little bit of a hotel sort of look to have that, you know, you've got a pair of French doors on the 1st floor and then a pair of French doors on the top one, as opposed to having the. And then, I think the addition of the sun porch is great. Those are my comments.
All righty. Johnny?
One question. Is there another location you can put that? Outdoor shower.
Well,
Can be seen from the front and back.
well, you won't see it from the front.
But from the back, the side.
Well, the only other place to put it is on the very back, where you'll see it even more from the back street, from K Ray.
Right.
So, it seemed
You're
like,
going on the side of the garage you're gonna build.
well, then it's in the setback. We're trying not to put it right in the setback. Probably could, but we don't want to. We want to hedge there instead.
Here's this side.
So you see it.
Thank you.
I don't.
So, okay, and then this is getting an addition right there.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure it out. So Mickey, the only thing I notice is the location of this little AC unit with the conduit. I know the other building has it too.
No, we're not, we're removing those.
Thank you.
Yeah, those were put in illegally.
That
by the previous
outdoor
owner.
conduit is ruining downtown.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
What's
a huge
going
one.
on?
Terrible.
Yeah.
What is going
we're working on
All
that.
those conduits and all those units are gonna go away.
People think that you don't have to, that they can just put them up and they're just popping up everywhere.
I know, well, we're supposed to be writing a policy.
Yeah, we should.
We tried to get a work group together. I think it's on our agenda to discuss tonight.
Yeah.
I think I'm on this one.
All right, tell me what you think.
Just to remind you.
Right, well, no,
I think
just-
it's appropriate.
Yeah, I think there's some very nice changes to kind of clean up some issues that existed, and I think that the changes that have been made are in keeping with the character of the architecture, and I have no other comments.
all right, and you are agreeable also, right?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
We see stuff.
Very good, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that is a full vote. So the next beyond is the garages there.
Which is gonna be so cool, because it's gonna go with. And
I was saying that
Right.
in Canada and Britain, they all
Perfect.
say garage.
Garage?
Garage sounds so fancy. Let's put it in a garage.
Garage. Yeah, I think someone got their signals crossed on that. Two is not been out.
Okay, here you go, reading the writing again.
All right. Well, have me read it if I can. Prefer the 6/6 garage accent fenestration, otherwise no concern. No quorum.
With a deck. Which is nice because it shields this. I prefer the smaller.
I like shingle style.
I like it very much prefer this scale.
Is that the,
They were on the main house anyway.
25 feet? I thought it had to be 24 feet.
do those A windows match the, main dwelling?
The A doors, they
The A
do.
doors, sorry, the A doors.
A door, where is the A
It's
door?
got, it's like a 3.
12 light,
Oh,
Yeah, it's a 12
they,
light
yeah,
with
they
a-
are. We did those on the main house, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you did.
12 over one panel.
Is this new, or was it approved and we're just doing changes to it?
It's a brand new building.
Is
It looks
kind
like
of
it's always been
attached?
there.
Is it
Thank you.
attached to
By a
the,
deck.
Yeah.
kinda?
It's insane.
So what does that mean, the 6/6 accents?
Well, the reason Brooke even said that is because originally I had if you look at the page 3 on the drawings, and we're showing the two buildings together, north elevation to the left. You see the 6/6 window?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're really proposing 2/2s, and I'd forgotten to update the other drawing. So there it is, 6/6. And Brooke said he thought maybe they looked, he kind of liked it compared to the 2/2s, but that's not really what we're applying for. We'd entertain it, but I kind of think it should go along with the house. It's
Me
2/2s.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Is
That's kind of
not 25 feet a little tall?
Well, relative to the house, it's
Garage is
considerably lower,
Yeah, right.
and the floodplain is driving part of this issue because of the deck and the balcony, head height below the balcony.
Yeah, it would look growth stunted if the garage was at a typical elevation height relative to the rest of the, the existing building and the deck.
Yeah, when you look at the south elevation, you see the two buildings together, you see the decks, the way it's kind of different heights between the two buildings. If we lowered it even more, those decks would be even further separated. I think it's good they're a little off, but I think it'd be awkward if they were more so.
I suggest that it supports it being that height.
It must be the garbage.
Oh, so it is attached.
Does anybody?
Storage.
Mickey, do you know the height of the main house, just out of curiosity?
30 something.
45
45 feet, you better be
It's
kidding me.
58 feet tall.
with the new.
This is how rumors
height.
get started.
No, the existing,
The HCC is approving 58 feet tall structures.
I can't read the small writing on mine. If we got the other application out, it has the
Oh, you
heights
got
written
your
on it.
roulette?
My rule
It just mentioned it on the other plan, though.
It did. It
My
had 33
scale.
something.
34 or 35, 34 feet?
Donnie, have you got something to add?
I know, that's a very good point,
No.
Diane.
35 is
No.
I think,
You have something to add?
yeah, I think you make a good point about the height of the garage. It's typically a secondary structure in the 24 feet. I do believe that, given a 35.5-foot existing structure and the floodplain issue, kind of dictating heights, that the height of the garage is proposed is acceptable.
Period.
Period.
All right. Abby?
Motion to,
Hey,
oh, I'm sorry. I have nothing to contribute.
Further.
I have one request or
Could
a
you
question.
contribute?
Is it possible to make the little cantilevered balconies shingled?
The railing, we thought about that, and there's an argument for and against it. The
Well, I
railing,
just think it looks so busy compared to the house, which is very elegant and.
yeah,
What page is that?
it's right next to Val, it's right next to two balustered railings on the other house. when you
Well,
look
I
at that.
see that,
Yeah.
but
And all the smaller balconies on both buildings are of the balustered rail. They all kind of work together, I think. Granted, the main one on the front of the main house is shingled, but that's kind of a separate animal to these near
Be
each other.
kinda cool.
How about the meeting rails?
Are they not meeting?
Definitely not.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they are.
Oh, you mean on the east?
On the west,
West elevation.
With the, if you look where it
Both elevations.
dies into the building, it meets up.
he's kind of split the difference
Yeah,
here.
that's what I was gonna say.
You kind of have to. It's a big
Yeah.
overhang, so it'll.
Yeah, because most of this is overhang. This
Yeah,
is,
we've always been strong on that. Now why back off?
I think we're meeting it, John. I think even though the drawing shows it a little low,
It's kinda dead center.
where it intersects the house, because of the overhang, it's up higher.
All right, so we have a motion and any,
Well, so what is, about Val's thing about the shingle?
actually, this is
Is
actually
that,
higher.
is that a
I'm,
problem?
it's not that strong of an
I-
opinion. It
well,
was just,
now that you said it, you say you've opened it up, and I kind of like
I think if
that.
it was 6/6, it would be it would be objectionable.
I think the balusters is a lighter look, to be honest with you. Especially bracketed, doesn't work in.
I think somebody came in with a bracketed second floor deck with shingle rail, and we all thought it was
too
bad.
heavy.
It looked like a cup or something on brackets.
Yeah,
Well, maybe, can you get rid of the middle post?
maybe. How wide is it?
No. No, you're not going to be able to get rid of that.
Yeah, that
Like
probably wouldn't
9
work.
feet or something?
It's too long a span.
Well, you could do 3-span, right?
We could break it up more if you wanted to just
No,
get
I'm trying to
decentralized.
simplify that. But it,
What if you went to
do you
4?
want to put it in as revisions and that
no.
he can come up with what he wants to do?
What if they were 4x4? Are those 6x?
Those are 6-bys, as are the others.
But on this smaller structure, perhaps the 4?
They could be scaled down to, rip them down to 4.5. 3.5
Is it
feels
coming?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, I mean an actual 4, not a. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think 3. You're right on the money. 3.5 would be too small. It's gonna look like a door casing with. I know. What do you think about that?
Okay, supposed to be 4 inches?
Post on the second floor.
It's not that strong of a like or dislike. It was just more of a question.
We just spent 10 minutes
But
discussing
it's gotta
that. We're gonna
go,
make a
but it
change,
has to
Dan.
go with the ones below. It has to go with the posts below and everything else that has that same detail. I mean, if you
It's
change
one of those
that.
things you just don't notice, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I was just throwing out a
All right, well, let's
I think we should
have a
leave it
motion.
Madam
potential
Chairperson,
solution.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes,
I would like to make a comment. I just caught the, on the meeting rails. I spoke on it. There was no consensus on it or anything. I think that whereby others, and you are in the old historic area, this is where it bothers me when you see this happen. Out of town, hey, maybe it's all right sometimes. But in the old historic area, I feel that those that wanted them before in the neighborhood, we told them no. So why are we letting this one ride? That's my question. Can anybody answer it?
I can,
Yes.
because I think if you took the middle of those windows and you drew a line across and you did not include that down, the overhang, it would line up. It's because of the overhang it doesn't seem
It
like
does.
it's right.
It does, yeah, if you take a line and go right into that overhang roof, it hits it like right there. Right in the,
So if his rafter tails weren't that long, it would look to you the way
Looks
it
like the
should.
bottom of the frieze lined up with the meeting rails.
this is an overhang here.
Right, that happens all the time, in other style, not that style. The other style, when they have a foot and a half hanging out. That's why you miss it on all these drawings when they come in, straight on, you don't see that foot underneath.
What's the correct part to line up? The part where it meets the building or the overhang part?
Fascia?
Or the fascia, yeah.
Well, you can do something.
better where it
How do you
meets
say
the
something?
building.
Yeah, I think, I agree with that.
We lose all our consistency, that's the problem.
I don't wanna, I mean,
Like I say, I made a comment, that's all, thank you.
This is something that comes up a lot when we have the overhang, so I don't know how to make that clearer, but I do think it meets the criteria.
Well, I think more importantly, it looks proportionally correct to me and appropriate that they would be there. If you lowered them, you're gonna have to, in order to keep your dormer fascia where we typically like it, which is right over the head casing, it's gonna change the whole nature of that second floor, and I think in a negative way. And if you were to raise that up, you would if you were to instead raise the garage fascia, the main roof mass, up, you're going to lose the vocabulary of the overhangs between the structures.
Okay,
So,
let's take a vote on it, because
well, I do have one other comment. I think if you're looking at the west elevation, I think your bracket under your porch, it seems to me your second floor porch should be a little beefier and consistent with the bracket on the pent roof over the garage doors on the left.
You're right, yeah, it's a little skinnier, you're right.
But it's just a minor thing.
Yeah. They built the same, but.
Yeah.
so can we have a motion on this? You all agree? No?
Sorry, John. I respect you. I'll respect you.
yeah, I respect you too, John, but I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Appreciate that.
I do, and also it's your birthday and, so.
Good time to mention it. I respect you too.
We
Yeah.
all do.
Do you want to beef that up? Sorry,
Yeah,
motion.
if you want to change that to match the overhang bracket from the door.
Just on the west elevation for your motion. This bracket will be thicker.
Who's making the motion? Nikki?
Abby,
I made one, I made an emotion, well, but now we're going to beef up the bracket on the what elevation?
On the west elevation under the second floor porch, the brackets. The
Approved, on the west, approved, on the west elevation matches overhang brackets with the rest of the brackets.
It'll match the other bracket.
Yeah.
The bracket on the garage.
All right. All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
So we now have Brooke.
He's not here, and I texted him.
Nobody else is here.
All right, let us put the,
Thank you.
You guys are great. I enjoyed this so much.
Yeah.
I really did.
Come join us.
No, it's marvelous. I go early.
You got to sit through it all.
Have a good evening.
I had an application.
He was, that was,
People who aren't here, you can hold them for Tuesday, or you can hold them
Mickey
for
represented him.
She goes up.
I guess so, yeah.
I want
Tell
my
me that.
Tuesday, yeah.
I just found out.
but we have all of those things.
Two Brooks, we had the Sue on the Coon, and now we've got Scully and
7 and 9.
Dalgard.
And we have 30 through 35, 23 through 29,
Those were pulled, so
but just,
they weren't held for Thursday or held by us, they were pulled off the agenda.
Right.
So they kind of automatically go to Tuesday.
okay.
So I'm asking about the ones that the people weren't here, and you said pull them for representation, which was 24, 25,
26, 27.
7 and 9.
We originally said Tuesday to a lot of those, didn't we?
Well, if we hold for representation, do we need to change it? Can we just say hold for representation and they'll be on the next meeting agenda? Is that okay?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to hold 7 and 9 under views for representation.
Okay.
And then it's all consistent, how we handle them, at least this meeting.
I think
See, we
everybody
have some
should make
consistency.
sure
We
they
have a
go
few,
by
maybe.
the Surfside one, because he's got solar panels going in all kinds of
He's
directions.
already got them on?
No, but that's what the
Oh,
application.
gotcha.
Save you a piece of cake, the small one.
I didn't know that was.
The cake was excellent, Diane.
So, John, did you do, is there something else we have to do on Thursday that's beyond?
Richmond.
Yeah, the Richmond stuff's on Thursday.
Okay. So is that gonna be like 1 to 3 kind of thing?
Probably.
Don't we have a preview of the big structures going on over here next door?
Following Thursday, so it's gonna be 2 Thursdays.
This
Yippee-doo.
fairgrounds,
Then you get a break.
multifamily unit.
That's true, that's true, okay.
Yeah, no, I was
Alright.
just curious, because that came up at planning board, and
Right,
I thought it was this Thursday.
All right.
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes of, August 8 and 10?
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then let us continue the discussion and vote on like kind, the Nantucket Advisory Board map area, and the work being done at 72 Main Street, and the one we just came up with.
Oh, we don't wanna do any of those?
The conduits.
No, Abby would really like to.
I would like
Okay.
to skip out of here, but if you wanna,
No, that's all
you
right.
don't need me for
It
that.
might be good to have Ray here, too.
I would
Yeah.
like to skip out as well.
I would too.
And can we add the conduits? Because you
conduit
mentioned
again?
some things, I think we should reinvigorate the idea of a work group.
Well,
But I don't
yeah,
want to talk about it right now,
No.
because we're not supposed to. But if we add it to our,
agenda.
What was
Other
the other
business?
thing, John?
What was on the discussion of the comment?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Madam Chair,
yes.
are we adding the mini split and conduit?
Yes, we can add that. John will write it up the right way.
what?
You are.
Mini splits and
You have boys
conduits
at your mother's
On the
house,
outside
don't
of
you?
buildings.
Can I make a motion to adjourn then?
Yes, please do.
Motion to adjourn.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Outside houses.
Thank you.